Chapter 847. When the airship appeared in the sky above the domain C of the 3 Yuan domain, the bugle horn of the 9 domains world sounded. It was the invincible venerable Wu Di from the Qing Tian domain. "You pig brain, that's Night Sorrow's ship." Looking at Wu Di, the Grand Elder directly scolded. Wu Di rubbed his nose and didn't say anything. He had fought with the Eastern Xian region and Northern Sea region before, so he still felt a little awkward. After controlling the airship to land, Night Sorrow's group walked out of the airship. "What's the situation?" Long Xianqing led the 9 region saints and sovereigns to greet them. "Not bad," Night Sorrow said with a smile after putting away the airship. "Ha, he's too modest. We've fought twice and won both times. Now that the Profound Mysteries realm has retreated, we can take back the Western Nether region at any time," Yun Tianlong said with a smile. "Can we take back the Western Nether region?" Saint Heavenly Underworld asked excitedly. FG latest L chapter on *F-net, West Underworld City, Eastern Cloud City, and other places no longer have any troops from the Profound Mysteries realm. The main reason is that we followed Night Sorrow to the Profound Mysteries Pavilion's mountain gate. We killed their vice pavilion lord and burned down their mountain gate. We also attacked their largest city, the Profound Mysteries Imperial City. They had no choice but to retreat, Xue Wuling said. She was extremely excited when she talked about these 2 battles. In war, time and opportunity are very important. Let's discuss the next step of the plan. Night Sorrow nodded to the group and walked towards the central tent. After Heavenly Underworld Saint sat down, he said, "We saints will not participate. The others are not as smart and powerful as you. You can fight however you want. Yes, you can make the arrangements as you see fit." Long Xianqing nodded. Night Sorrow stood up and said, "All right then, I'll give my opinion first. If anyone feels that it's inappropriate or lacking, you can add on." Following that, Night Sorrow made his own arrangements. First, Yi Wuyo would lead a small group of people to continue guarding this place. "Is that really necessary?" Hu Xiao asked. "It's necessary. If the Profound Mysteries realm has people hiding in the Western Nether realm, they can break through the defensive line and start a war inside the 9 regions world while we're defenseless. We'll be in a passive position and the advantages we've accumulated will be gone." Night Sorrow explained his reasons for making such arrangements. "That is indeed the case. I was just spouting nonsense. Please continue with the arrangements." Hu Xiao cupped his hands and sat down. "Secondly, get the formation masters to come over and set up the teleportation formations on the airships. War requires speed. Our attack and retreat routes must be fast and convenient. The teleportation formations must be fully set up and put into use," said Night Sorrow. "Leave this task to me." "I will arrange it immediately," said Elder Hua Haining of Tianji Tower. Third, gather half of the people and the array Grand Master. Follow me to take control of the spatial tunnel." Night Sorrow said to Grand Elder and Lu Qin. "Gather half of the people." "What about the rest?" asked Grand Elder. "Ask the elders of Tianji Tower and Night Moon's invincible venerables to lead the team and eliminate the enemy forces in the Western Nether realm," Night Sorrow said to Grand Elder. After listening to Night Sorrow's orders, everyone nodded. This arrangement was almost perfect. Half an hour later, Grand Elder had finished selecting the people. "Then let's go. I'll have to trouble Father and Mother to take care of the defensive line here for a while." Night Sorrow nodded to Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing. Then, the group set off on the airship. At this time, the 9 Realms world had gathered 7 airships. The Saints, 9 Realms Venerables, and Night Sorrow sat in one. "City Lord Tai Shu, City Lord Lu, we've gained a lot this time. The resources we looted from the Profound Pavilion are in these 3 storage rings. The resources we looted from the Profound Secrets Imperial City are in these 5 storage rings. I didn't take a look at the details. Yi Shan took out 8 storage rings and gave them to City Lord Tai Shu and Lu Qin. You brought people to fight. These resources were obtained by you. Naturally, you should keep them, said Grand Elder. Take them. The victory of the war was the result of everyone's cooperation. You, City Lord Lu Qin, and the others discuss what needs to be replenished and what needs to be used. In addition, the Western Nether Realm needs resources to be rebuilt, said Night Sorrow. All right. Let's discuss the use of the resources later. Grand Elder thought for a moment and nodded. This is the storage ring of the Profound Pavilion's Vice Pavilion Lord. This is the storage ring of the Imperial City's City Lord, Jun Tianya. Night Sorrow took out 2 more storage rings. During the war, looting warehouses and mansions is considered war resources. You killed the enemy's leader, so what the leader had is naturally yours. Don't take it out. None of us are thick-skinned enough to take it, said Lu Qin. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow put away the 2 storage rings. He didn't insist. If he did, it would be unreasonable and meaningless. If there's a chance, we must kill the leader. He has a lot of resources, said Yun Huang. You little brat, shut up. The leader can be killed at will. If I see him, I'll have to hide, scolded Yun Tianlong. Yun Huang shrunk his neck and didn't say anything. If he spoke again, he'd be scolded again. A bunch of brats. If you didn't have a good leader, you'd all be lying in your base right now. But you're not bad, said Xue Wuling with a smile. Yun Huang and the others nodded. They also understood that if Night Sorrow hadn't held them back, they wouldn't have been able to fight on the battlefield. After crossing the Realm Sea, Grand Elder and the others began to make arrangements. Some set up teleportation formations, while others led people to clean up the enemy. Night Sorrow's main force didn't stop. They kept moving toward the spatial channel's entrance. Once they were near the spatial channel's entrance, they put away their spatial ships. Formation Grandmasters, be careful. We'll suppress the enemy first, then break the formation and occupy this place. Night Sorrow led his people forward. After advancing for a while, Shang shouted for everyone to pay attention. He had discovered traces of a formation. 2 unrivaled supremacies come and protect Grandmaster Shang. Night Sorrow shouted behind him. As soon as Night Sorrow gave the order, some people followed to protect Shang. Shang began to study the formation. As he occasionally sent spirit stones into the formation, the enemy's formation lost its effect. At this time, the Profound Mysteries Realm's people at the spatial channel's entrance became vigilant. Yi Xiantian pulled back Ren Tianji, who was about to fight. We can't rashly fight. The enemy is coming out in full force. If the formation doesn't work, we can only retreat. Vice Commander Yi, are we just going to surrender this place? Asked one of the Profound Mysteries Realm's unrivaled supremacies. Chapter 848. After advancing for a few miles, entropy stopped. What's wrong? You can't break it. Vice Palace Lord, it's not that I can't break it. I just don't have enough spirit stones, said Entropy embarrassedly. The Grand Elder shook his head speechlessly. He gave Entropy a spatial ring. Use it as you wish. You must break this formation. This is called the Annihilation Formation. There's also a spatial ceiling formation. It won't be a problem for me. Entropy led the other 2 formation grandmasters forward. T-Head, 1, Vice Commander Yi, some of them know how to set up the Annihilation Formation. If the formation can't hold, it's too late to set up another formation, said Gu Tianyu. Damn it, go to the spatial channel and set up another formation. Yi Xiantian waved his hand at Gu Tianyu and had the people near the spatial channel retreat to the Profound Mysteries Realm side. He knew they couldn't hold this side. Through the formation, Yi Xiantian knew how strong the people from the 9 regions world were. If the profound mysteries realm's high-level experts were all here, then it would be fine. But now, there was only a portion of them. If they fought head-on, they would just be sending themselves to their deaths. While Entropy was breaking his own formation, he was also directing the other formation grandmasters. His progress was very fast. When all the formations were broken, there were no longer any people from the profound mysteries realm here. They just retreated. "Let's go in," said the Grand Elder to Night Sorrow. "I'll think about it." Night Sorrow closed his eyes and pondered. "Leave half of us here. City Lord Grand Elder will be in charge. The others, including Protector Entropy, enter my spatial treasure. Senior Saints, don't say anything. Don't interfere with the battle. Just watch the show." Night Sorrow took out the Spacetime Pagoda and enlarged it. At this time, no one was worried about whether or not it was safe to enter Night Sorrow's spatial treasure. They all entered the Spacetime Pagoda. Then Night Sorrow used a spatial crack to tear through the spatial channel's spatial barrier and enter the chaotic flow of space. After passing through the spatial tunnel, Yi Xiantian and the others watched in shock as he broke through the spatial barrier between the spatial tunnel and the profound mysteries realm. He entered the spatial crack in the profound mysteries realm. "Sect Master Yi, our formation can't stop this situation." Gu Tianyu's expression was extremely ugly because the array formation set up at the intersection of the spatial passageway and the profound mysteries realm could not stop Night Sorrow from tearing through space. "It's not your fault. Their means are too sharp." However, they wouldn't dare to rush out of the spatial crack. "Once they do, the matrix will be activated," Yi Xiantian said. Night Sorrow traversed through the spatial turbulence for more than 15 kilometers. When he felt that the spatial barrier had returned to normal, he tore through space and returned to the profound mysteries realm. "Everyone, spread out and defend. Kill anyone that comes out." Night Sorrow gave the order. At the same time, he brought Lu Qin and Xue Wuhan to protect Shang. Night Sorrow was also breaking the array under Shang's command. He was also an array master. It was just that he hadn't studied array formations recently. "We are surrounded." Through the formation, Yi Xiantian noticed the situation outside inside. "Then sneak attack and kill that array master. That way, the formation will be able to hold on," said Gu Tianyu. Yi Xiantian nodded and sent a pinnacle honorable to follow Gu Tianyu to kill Shang. However, Yi Shang had already thought of this and severely injured Gu Tianyu. The pinnacle honorable was suppressed by Lu Qin and Xue Wuhan before being killed. "Grandmaster Gu, lead the way. Find the weakest point of their seal. Evil monarch will break out." Yi Xiantian knew that if they didn't leave now, they wouldn't be able to. The path that Gu Tianyu and the profound mysteries realm took was the path that Yun Tianlong and his people had been guarding. As soon as they appeared, Yun Tianlong let out a long whistle. Hearing Yun Tianlong's howl, Yi Sorrow led his men over. This was an opportunity to deal a heavy blow to the profound mysteries realm. If they could kill one more expert, they would have one less opponent in the following battles. When Night Sorrow and the others arrived, the battle was in chaos. Rin Tianji and Yi Xiantian were attacking Yun Tianlong. Fortunately, Yun Tianlong wasn't fighting to the death. He was just stalling for time, so he wasn't in too much danger. However, he had been stabbed in the back. When he saw Night Sorrow and the others arrive, Rin Tianji's body flashed and left the battlefield. Yi Xiantian wasn't so lucky. He was firmly entangled by Yun Tianlong. Night Sorrow did not chase after Rin Tianji. Without being affected by the advantages and disadvantages of entering the battle, it would be very difficult for Rin Tianji to catch up to him if he wanted to run. In the end, Rin Tianji's fighting spirit activated his energy, and his energy was endless. Even Night Sorrow could not exhaust him. Night Sorrow also didn't join the battle because it was meaningless. The 9 regions' world's unrivaled venerables were killing the profound mysteries realm's people. There was no way for them to escape. Half an hour later, the battle ended. Only Ren Tianji had managed to escape. The others had all been killed. Next, Shang continued to break the formation. He completely destroyed the formation near the spatial channel. "We have the battle situation under control," said the Grand Elder. "That should be the case. Protector Shang, please work harder and set up a killing formation here. In the future, we won't give them a chance to enter our 9 regions world. The formation must be a composite one. It can't be broken easily," Night Sorrow said to Shang. "Young master, you're too polite. This isn't a problem. I won't make the same mistake as them. I'll make some formations that haven't appeared before." Shang nodded at Night Sorrow. Then, the 9 regions world's people began to set up camp. Some people also reported the situation to the 9 regions saint through the spatial channel. Knowing that the situation was under control, the 9 regions saint went through the channel and arrived at the command tent that Night Sorrow had just set up. "Night Sorrow, I thank you on behalf of the millions of creatures in the Western Nether region." Sky Underworld Saint cupped his hands at Night Sorrow. "Senior Sky Underworld Saint, you don't have to do this. Everyone in the 9 regions world is responsible for the war in the 9 regions world. Night Sorrow is naturally responsible for it." Night Sorrow cupped his hands in return. "You're right. But because of my impatience, the Western Nether region fell. I'm responsible for it. Fortunately, you took action and solved all these problems." Sky Underworld Saint smiled. "Night Sorrow, what's the plan next?" Xia Longjun asked. Everyone was particularly excited and happy now. "We'll turn the tables around. With the advantage in hand, there's no need to rush. Let's clean up the Western Nether region first. After all, the war is in our hands now. We can fight however we want." Night Sorrow was the first to speak. "Then let's follow your train of thought. After the Western Nether region is cleaned up, there won't be any unstable elements in the 9 regions world." Long Xianxing nodded. Shang and the other formation grandmasters began to get busy. Night Sorrow also began to set up formations. Although he didn't know how to destroy formations, Night Sorrow was still capable of setting up ordinary formations. As he set up the formations, Night Sorrow's attainments in formations also increased. All-round talent. Lu Qin sighed emotionally as she watched Night Sorrow, Shang, and the other formation grandmasters busying themselves. "Back then, when I first met him, he was still young. It's only been a few years since then. Heroes come from troubled times," said the Grand Elder. Chapter 849. "That's a domineering title," said Lu Qin. "Little girl, you only know how domineering a title is. You don't know the meaning behind it. When a cultivator's body reaches a certain level, their body will become immortal. When a cultivator's soul reaches a certain level, their soul will become immortal. Immortality is the goal of all cultivators, but that doesn't mean they can be called immortal," said Long Xianxing. Lu Qin blushed. If others called her a little girl, they would be asking for a beating. But Long Xianxing didn't go overboard at all. "Senior Long Xianxing, does that mean immortality is a realm?" asked Grand Elder. "I don't know. Maybe it's a cultivation realm, or maybe it's an achievement. There's no limit to cultivation. You've all seen Yi Shang's body. Even a peak venerable could only slightly injure him. If someone had told you before that a venerable could cultivate his body to this level, would you have believed it?" asked Long Xianxing. "I've never heard of it, and I've never seen it. Naturally, I wouldn't believe it." Lu Qin nodded. "As he cultivates, his body will become more domineering," said Long Xianxing. At this time, Night Sorrow returned. Seniors are all here. In 2 days, this place will be impregnable. Of course, if the other party's venerables can also tear through space, we won't be able to defend against them. In addition, we found their transportation formation outside the formation. It has already been destroyed. If the transportation formation was at the entrance of the spatial passage, we wouldn't have been able to kill them and would have escaped long ago, said Night Sorrow. There are very few cultivators with spatial attributes. Being able to tear through space is even more difficult. This is the terrifying talent of your Night clan, said Xia Longjun with a smile. Night Sorrow took a sip of tea from Yang Lei and said, after this place is stabilized, leave some people here. The rest will go to the western nether region and search for the remnants of the profound mysteries realm. Long Xianxing and the others nodded. They all agreed with Night Sorrow's suggestion. After drinking a sip of tea, Night Sorrow continued to work on the formation. This was also a tempering for him. The venerables were drinking tea in the tent. Steady. That's what it means to be steady, Longxing said. In the beginning, I believed in his ability, True Sea Saint said. I believed in his strategy and wisdom, but I was worried that he was young and not calm enough. But it seems that he is very calm. Not only is his plan flawless, he is also very experienced. This is the fortune of our 9 regions world. Nan Ganxing nodded. Region Lord Wu, your Eastern Xian region shouldn't start a region war. We really can't handle it. If you have any problems in the future, just say it. The Flying Tiger Saint said with a smile. That won't happen. Our Eastern Xian region only seeks to develop ourselves. We're not willing to fight outside. However, we're not afraid of fighting outside. Wu Lingfei smiled. You're not afraid of fighting outside, but we are, said Saint Tian Hades. Our 9 realms should be united. I hope that the 9 realms will never have a civil war, Xia Longjun said. The other saints nodded as well. It could be said that this was a great ambition. After setting up the array formation, Entropy led the array formation master through the spatial tunnel and went to the 9-domain world to set up the array formation. The 9 realms world side left behind a few essential members, while the others went to the western nether region to search for the remaining members of the profound mysteries realm. Yi Shang was free now. Every day, he would meditate and cultivate, stabilizing his cultivation and stabilizing it. After a few battles, Night Sorrow was convinced that he was invincible beneath the Saint realm. As his cultivation base increased, that invincibility would only continue to increase. Hurry up. Hurry up. The God-slaying squad's members were cultivating at the entrance of the spatial tunnel. There were also saints willing to give them pointers. After cultivating a spatial crack and entering the spacetime pagoda to recover, Night Sorrow took out the spoils he had obtained from the profound mysteries realm. Yu Heng's storage ring was very rich in resources. There were over 1,000 top-grade spirit stones and 50 to 60 top-grade spirit stones. In addition, there were also many alchemy and refining materials. This was a supplement for Yi Shang, who did not have many top-grade spirit stones. When he opened Jun Tianya's spatial ring, Night Sorrow was a bit dumbfounded. What's wrong? Xueshi brewed a pot of tea and asked Night Sorrow. How can that old fellow's wealth be so deep? Night Sorrow poured out everything in Jun Tianya's spatial ring. What's going on? Xueshi was also dumbfounded. The amount of resources Night Sorrow had taken out was too terrifying. Not to mention high-grade spirit stones, there were 300 or 400 top-grade spirit stones, and there were even over 20 saint spirit stones. There were all kinds of attribute crystals, and there were even 2 void Dao stones. The most eye-catching thing was that there were over a dozen spirit artifacts. It's that City Lord's spatial ring, said Night Sorrow. Yes, that makes sense. He's the City Lord of Profound Mysteries Imperial City and the head of the Jun family. It's normal for him to keep some high-grade resources, said Xuexi. Due to the Saint contract, she couldn't participate in the battle, so she hadn't come out of the space-time pagoda. However, she knew some things. Last time I went to Supreme Sky City, I used up a lot of resources. Not only did I make up for it, but I also have a lot left over. I can use it however I want, said Night Sorrow with a smile. Xuexi was also happy for Night Sorrow. Having more resources was equivalent to paving the way for Night Sorrow. Xuexi, there's still something wrong. Normally, he shouldn't have Saint Spirit Stones. The Profound Mysteries realm is similar to the Nine Regions world, so it's impossible for them to produce Saint Spirit Stones, said Night Sorrow. There are many possibilities. Our Nine Regions world is connected to a different space. If cultivators go there, the cultivators of the Profound Mysteries realm can also go there, said Xuexi. I know. It's possible. Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't want the Profound Mysteries realm to be connected to a higher realm. After organizing the resources, Night Sorrow put them away. It feels good to have a lot of resources, said Night Sorrow as he tidied up his robes and paced back and forth. You're not just a lot of resources. You're a moving treasure trove. Whoever robbed you could support a sect for years, said Xuexi with a smile. She knew how much resources Night Sorrow had accumulated. It's always been me robbing others. The only one I let off was you, said Night Sorrow with a smile. Xuexi's situation was very bad at that time, so Night Sorrow didn't have the heart to touch her storage ring. Yes, I have to thank you for this, said Xuexi with a smile. After flirting with Xuexi for a while, Night Sorrow came out of the space-time treasure pagoda and gathered everyone at the god-slaying team's camp. Nan Liyue, distribute these storage rings. Those who didn't get one, don't worry. Everything will be given. Also, I got some weapons this time, distribute them. The principle of this batch of weapons is that those who enter the supremacy realm will get it first. Those with compatible attributes will get it first. Yishang took out a dozen spiritual weapons and handed them to Nan Liyue. Captain, these are all spirit artifacts. Nan Liyue looked at Night Sorrow with surprise. Yes, so the principle is that the venerables get first. But everyone will get one sooner or later. Do you believe me? Shouted Night Sorrow. Chapter 850. So many spirit artifacts. Are these spirit artifacts for your brothers? Xie Longjun asked. Night Sorrow looked at the group of saints and said, We've gained a lot from the battles during this period of time. Let's equip our brothers. Seniors, if you have any low-grade weapons, take them out if you don't need them. There's no point in keeping them. Us brothers are the ones who truly kill the enemy. Alright, you win. Zhen Haixing took out 2 sabers and handed them to Night Sorrow. The others also took out some weapons, the least of which was a spirit artifact. Brothers, thank you seniors. Night Sorrow shouted. In response to Night Sorrow's words, the members of the god-slaying squad howled. Skull. LF initial high Herai, in the future, you can't just casually watch. You'll lose weight if you do. Heavenly Underworld Saint looked at Night Sorrow and said. Hearing Heavenly Underworld Saint's words, everyone laughed. However, seeing your strength increase and being able to fight better for the 9 zones, I don't feel any heartache. Heavenly Underworld Saint said while stroking his beard. After letting the members of the god-slaying squad make their own arrangements, Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and chatted with the Saint of the 9 realms. The 9 domains world had stabilized, but the Profound Mysteries realm was in chaos. Jun Xuanji had set up a defensive line near the 3 Suns mountain range in the 3 Sun city. Unlike the 9 regions world, the Profound Mysteries realm did not have a barrier like the realm sea. The atmosphere in Jun Xuanji's command tent was oppressive because the Profound Mysteries realm had suffered too much recently. They had lost nearly half of their strength, and this was before the real battle. Grand Elder, we won't be able to defend like this. We can only fight head-on. Jun Xuanji was wearing a plain white dress because too many people had died in the family. Jun Tianyo was her grandfather. Our terrain is indeed not suitable for defense. It can be said that if they want to come in, they can come in, Xian Wenxiu said. Grand Elder, I'll make the arrangements right away. Jun Xuanji looked at Xian Wenxiu. Since it's already come this far, you can go all out, Xian Wenxiu said. Shang Luo also nodded. The mysterious Heaven Sword sect still existed, but the sect master had died in battle. All the peak sovereigns had died in battle. After that, Jun Xuanji gave the order to surround the spatial passageway and prevent the cultivators of the 9-domain world from entering the profound mysteries realm. Then what should we do with the group that's still in the hinterlands of our profound mysteries realm? A man asked. He was the sect master of the Flowing Cloud Sword sect, Yu Feng. He's determined to kill me. Everyone, if you see that Night Sorrow, send out saints to kill him. Grand Elder Xian, can you make the arrangements? Jun Xuanji looked at Xian Wenxiu with killing intent. Jun Xuanji's words stunned everyone in the command tent. This was a ruthless move. Not only was he ruthless to the enemy, but he was also ruthless to his own people. I can arrange it. Gu Nanxing, do you have any questions? Xian Wenxiu looked at one of the saints. No problem. As long as there's any news, notify me and I'll act. One of the saints nodded. They only have 1 or 2 sovereigns that we can't suppress. We'll send out the weakest saints. Once we kill those 2, the situation will change. Remember, saints will die if they attack, so we have to end the battle quickly. Kill them before the world's laws descend, even if we have to self-detonate, said Xian Wenxiu. All right. Gu Nanxing nodded. Gu Nanxing, as long as I'm alive, no one can touch your family or sect, said Xian Wenxiu. Many thanks, Saint Xian. Perhaps this is the time for me to contribute to the profound mysteries realm. Gu Nanxing cupped his hands towards Xian Wenxiu. Then Jun Xuanji ordered all the profound mysteries realm's warriors to head toward the spatial passageway. She wanted to fight a decisive battle ahead of time. While Night Sorrow was cultivating, someone came to inform Night Sorrow that the profound mysteries realm's people were about to arrive. After leaving the tent, Night Sorrow saw that the formation had been activated. The spatial passageway was filled with chaotic spatial energy, and anyone who dared to enter would be killed. Night Sorrow raised his reincarnation spear and walked out of the formation. He stood at the edge of the formation and looked at the profound mysteries realm's people. Jun Xuanji had led his people to completely seal off the area. What, you can't hold on anymore and want to fight ahead of time? Asked Night Sorrow as he looked at the veiled Jun Xuanji. Do you dare? Jun Xuanji spat out. Of course I dare, but I don't want to. If I fight however you want me to, I'll lose face. Remember, I'll fight however I want you to. If I want to fight, I'll fight. If I want to steadily advance, I'll steadily advance. What can you do to me? Night Sorrow directly pointed out the profound mysteries realm's passive situation. Remember, this formation isn't omnipotent. Once we flatten this formation, we'll slaughter our way into the 9-domain worlds. We'll slaughter everyone, said Jun Xuanji through clenched teeth. Slaughter everyone. Fine, if you want to slaughter everyone, then I'll slaughter everyone. The next time I slaughter a city, you'll have to pay the price for saying those words, said Night Sorrow as he pointed his reincarnation spear in the direction of the profound mysteries realm. Last time, we only killed cultivators. It seems there was no need for that. They're the ones who crossed the line, said Yun Tianlong as he stood beside Night Sorrow. Formation masters, break the formation. Jun Xuanji waved his hand. A few formation masters came out from the profound mysteries realm and were about to break the formation. Night Sorrow raised his protective barrier. As long as the formation masters came close, he would attack. He had an absolute advantage fighting at the edge of the formation. Grand Elder Xian, arrange for people, said Jun Xuanji as he glanced at the group of saints behind him. Aloof saint, capture him. Xian Wenxiu looked at a saint behind him. The saint from the ancient south was waiting for Night Sorrow's news in the profound mysteries realm, so he could only choose another person. This was a tall saint. When Xian Wenxiu called out his name, he was stunned for a moment. His eyes were filled with sadness. He knew that he was cannon fodder that the profound mysteries realm used to fight against the supremacies. Ling Yun's figure flashed as he charged towards Yishan. Retreat, shouted Night Sorrow. He knew that the situation wasn't right. He had thought that it would either be Jun Xuanji or Ren Tianji, but he hadn't expected it to be a saint. Following Night Sorrow's roar, Yun Tianlong, the grand uncles, and the others retreated into the formation. After Night Sorrow roared, his protective barrier slashed diagonally and he dodged to the side. He couldn't retreat. There were people from the 9 regions behind him, and he didn't want to bring danger to them. Night Sorrow's body flashed extremely quickly, but the aloof saint was even faster. He directly charged at Night Sorrow. At this moment, clouds appeared in the sky and rapidly descended. Night Sorrow knew that this was the punishment of the world's law power. He had to survive before the world's law power killed the opponent saint. The opponent was using a self-harming tactic to kill him. Spatial crack. Night Sorrow used spatial rend and then drilled into the spatial fissure. Aloof saint couldn't let Night Sorrow escape, so he clasped his hands together. Seal. Chapter 851. Since he couldn't enter the spatial crack, Night Sorrow switched his protective barrier to the faster protective barrier of his bloodline. Then, he turned and slashed, dodging Lang Jun's path. You must die today. Lang Jun continued to chase after Night Sorrow. He knew that he didn't have much time left. The power of the regulations of the world would arrive soon. Lang Jun was a saint, and he was confident in his own strength. However, he knew that he would definitely die when facing the power of the regulations of the world. Even the open cloud saint, a high-level saint, couldn't do it, let alone him, a 3-star saint. Night Sorrow didn't intend to fight with the saint. Putting aside the large difference in strength between them, Jun Xuanji had also unsheathed his sword. As long as he was entangled, he would be attacked from both sides. When Night Sorrow planned to retreat into the formation, he realized that Lang Jun's body was beginning to swell. Night Sorrow could even see the energy crazily circulating inside Lang Jun's body. Self-detonation. How could Night Sorrow not be able to analyze this situation? Gritting his teeth, he charged towards the profound mysteries realm's camp. If you want to self-detonate, then come. Send more saints to stop me. Seeing Night Sorrow charge towards their camp, Xian Wenxiu was stunned. Jun Xuanji was also stunned. They didn't know how to control themselves. Sending more saints would be useless. That would be a loss for nothing. Don't come over. Jun Xuanji shouted at Lang Jun as he drew his sword to block Night Sorrow. Xian Wenxiu really wanted to tell him to go into the formation and self-detonate, but he didn't dare to. Once he did, it would be a violation of the saint contract. Lang Jun, who didn't dare to charge forward and couldn't drag Night Sorrow down with him, was dumbfounded. He could only allow the uncontrollable energy to break through his body. Night Sorrow didn't get entangled with Jun Xuanji. He slashed his protective barrier twice and changed direction, landing at the place where Lang Jun had died. With a wave of his left hand, he grabbed Lang Jun's storage ring and Saint Crystal. Then, he entered the formation. Jun Xuanji chased after her for a few steps before retreating to a safe area. She didn't dare to approach the array formation area. Not only would she be attacked by the array formation, but she would also be attacked by the people inside the array formation. No one attacked, so Knight Sorrow walked out of the array and smiled as he looked at Jun Xuanji and the others, quite ruthless, saints fighting against sovereigns. Not bad. Thank you for these saint crystals and storage rings. You'll definitely die. Jun Xuanji was about to go crazy with rage. Not only had the grim saint failed to kill Knight Sorrow, but he had also given Knight Sorrow a saint crystal and a spatial ring for free. She knew that the grim saint's spatial ring was filled with valuable resources. Smelly mouth, you're boasting shamelessly again. If you have any ideas, come at me. I'll see how you guys play before I decide how to play. There are so many cities and sects on this map. I can attack wherever I want. Knight Sorrow took out the map of the Profound Mysteries realm and shook it. #It wasn't just Jun Xuanji, all of the cultivators from the Profound Mysteries realm were angered by Knight Sorrow. This was a provocation, a threat, but it wasn't a threat at all. It was a clear deterrence. If you want to start a war, then you'll have to bear the consequences. Pass down my orders. If any array formation masters come near, kill them at all costs, Knight Sorrow said to the cultivators of the 9 regions hidden in the array formation before retreating. Jun Xuanji thought for a moment before waving his sleeve. Don't worry about resources. Use a large array to cover their array formation. Cover this entire place. Xian Wenxiu turned and returned to his tent. He knew that Jun Xuanji's strategy was correct. It was just that sometimes, it wasn't effective. Knight Sorrow returned to the 9 regions world's tent and poured himself a cup of tea. He took a sip and said, the Profound Mysteries realm can't be stabilized anymore. Knight Sorrow, this is our mistake. We didn't have time to help you just now, Heavenly Underworld Saint said apologetically. Knight Sorrow shook his head and said, our saints shouldn't do anything. Just now, the world's laws almost descended. Going against the heavenly Tao oath won't end well. Our saints intercepted their saints. That's not interfering in the war but stopping it, said Long Xianxing. Saints have to be extremely careful. They don't have any humanity left. If a saint wants to be cannon fodder, then they'll be cannon fodder. Knight Sorrow knew that the Profound Mysteries realm was being ruthless. If a saint doesn't do anything, then no one will be able to contend against you. They're also helpless. It's just that they're being too unscrupulous, said Xiaolon Jun. War is cruel. It's normal to be ruthless to the enemy, but it's also ruthless to your own people. But that's fine. I'll be more careful in the future. I don't believe that they have many saints to fight with, snorted Knight Sorrow. He felt that the Profound Mysteries realm was being ruthless to their own people. Knight Sorrow, from now on, you just need to make the tactical arrangements. We'll leave the fighting to the others, said Yun Tianlong. Yi Shang shook his head. The other side had Jun Xuanji and Ren Tianji, 2 ferocious people below the saint stage. Other than him who could restrain them and Yi Wuyo who could contend against them, the others could only be killed. That's too shameless, cursed Shui Wuling. War is about using everything, said Knight Sorrow calmly. Soon, Lu Qin came to report that the other side was building a defensive formation. Should the 9 regions army attack now? No. If we fight head-on, we'll suffer great losses. Knight Sorrow rejected Lu Qin's suggestion. How can there be no deaths in war? Knight Sorrow, we're determined to fight to the death for the 9 regions world, said the granduncles. We need to use our skills to fight. The lives of the Profound Mysteries realm's people are like grass, but the lives of the 9 regions world's people are precious to me. Martial uncle granduncles, arrange for people to hide in the formation. As soon as their formation masters come, use hidden weapons and poison. Notify the Sanyuan region's defensive line and the Western Nether region's people to come, ordered Knight Sorrow. The granduncles cupped their hands and went to make the arrangements. Monarch Yun, Senior Shui, I'll go out in a bit. When I attack Jun Xuanji and Ren Tianji, you two lead the other venerables to attack. Remember, when I say retreat, you have to retreat, said Night Sorrow to Yun Tianlong and Shui Wuling. Alright, we'll listen to you. Yun Tianlong and Shui Wuling nodded. The two of you, don't get too close. Don't tangle with the other side's venerables. Just attack the mid and early venerables. Their saints shouldn't attack you. After that, throw the poison into their crowd, said Night Sorrow. Ha, just thinking about it makes me happy, laughed Shui Wuling. Then let's go. Night Sorrow raised his reincarnation spear and left the tent. He entered the formation and approached the Profound Mysteries Realms camp. Long Xianxing and Heavenly Underworld Saint also followed behind. They were afraid that Night Sorrow would be tricked by the saints. If that happened, it would be the fault of their saints. Chapter 852. The reincarnation spear in Night Sorrow's right hand shot toward Jun Xuanji. When Jun Xuanji blocked with his sword, Night Sorrow's body moved in an arc, and the target of the spear became Ren Tianji. If you dare to come out, then die. Jun Xuanji roared and waved his sword toward Night Sorrow. Jun Tianya's death and the Jun family's destruction made Jun Xuanji extremely angry. He couldn't wait to kill Night Sorrow. This was the effect that Night Sorrow wanted. He wanted to restrain Jun Xuanji and Ren Tianji, and then let Yun Tianlong, Shui Wuling, and the others attack and kill the others. At this time, Long Xianxing and Heavenly Underworld Saint stood at the edge of the array and looked at the saints of the Profound Mysteries realm. As long as the saints of the Profound Mysteries realm dared to attack, they would stop them. Before the heavenly punishment arrived, the sovereigns of the 9 regions world would be safe. Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear moved freely and began to fight with Ren Tianji and Jun Xuanji. Although Ren Tianji didn't enter the state of losing himself due to the killing intent, he still used his killing intent to activate his saber. His combat strength was far beyond ordinary sovereigns. When Jun Xuanji attacked with his sword, he also used the 4 extreme combined attack to suppress Night Sorrow and let Ren Tianji kill him. Night Sorrow roared, and the law of nothingness rippled in all directions, forcing Jun Xuanji's 4 extreme combined attack away from the area around him. Then, he continued to attack Ren Tianji with his spear. The violent spear aura suppressed Ren Tianji completely. Night Sorrow chose to suppress Ren Tianji because he had a reason. He wanted to suppress Ren Tianji until he entered the state of bedevilment. At that time, he wouldn't be a threat to the people of the 9 regions world and would be a big trouble for the Profound Mysteries realm. The battle was very fierce. Yun Tianlong and Shui Wuling didn't fight the sovereigns of the Profound Mysteries realm. Instead, they killed ordinary sovereigns. Others couldn't interfere in the battle between Night Sorrow, Jun Xuanji, and Ren Tianji. The 3 of them were peak cultivators below the saint realm, and their combat strength was even comparable to saints. Whether it was sword chi, saber astral blade, or spear chi, they could all injure and kill people. As the battle raged on, Night Sorrow let out a long howl. Void True Chi and Power of Desolates alternated attacks, suppressing Jun Xuanji and Ren Tianji to the point that they could only defend and could not attack. How you want to fight? I'll accompany you to the end. I'll accompany you to the end. Whatever you want to fight. I'll accompany you to the end, I'll accompany you will to the end. I will fight you, I to the end, I will fight will to the end, will the world sorrow fight me. Long Xianxing looked at Xian Wenxiu. Xian Wenxiu's body was surging with energy, and he seemed to have the intention to attack. Noticing Long Xuanxing's saber, Xian Wenxiu didn't move. Even if he wanted to risk the wrath of heaven to kill Yi Shang, Long Xianxing and Heavenly Underworld Saint wouldn't allow it. At that moment, Yun Tianlong shouted, "Commander, it's about time." Knight Sorrow turned to look. He saw that after Yun Tianlong and Xue Wuling killed some people, they were being chased by the other side sovereigns. They couldn't do anything else, so he gave the order, "Retreat." After forcing Jun Xuanji back with a spear strike, Yishang's body drew a semicircle, bypassing Ren Tianji who was attacking him. Then, with 2 slashes from his chi shield, he arrived at the edge of the array formation. Knight Sorrow ignored the eyes of the Profound Mysteries Realm's people. He looked at Yun Tianlong and Xue Wuling and asked, "How are the results?" Sovereign Wu Hen, me, and the others killed more than a dozen mid-level sovereigns. We didn't count the low-level sovereigns, Yun Tianlong reported. It's okay. We don't need to count the low-level sovereigns. Hey, you guys be careful. I'm going to drink some tea. It's hard to say when we'll fight again. If we're in a good mood, we might continue to kill. If we're in a bad mood, we might take it out on you guys. Let's go. Knight Sorrow raised his reincarnation spear and gave the order to retreat. After returning to the tent, Knight Sorrow brewed some tea and drank it. Today's killing was really satisfying. They must be wondering if Commander Knight Sorrow's mood is good or bad, Xue Wuling said with a laugh. Yeah, whether he's in a good mood or not is a good thing. Yun Tianlong said with a smile. Today, they had suppressed the Profound Mysteries Realm's people. Everyone was relieved. Next, Knight Sorrow talked about the current problem. The sovereigns and peak sovereigns hadn't arrived yet. Compared to the 9 upper regions, they were at a disadvantage. So, they had to play it safe. Knight Sorrow, I'm not worried about this. The main thing is that you have to be careful. They've really been driven crazy. The saints are willing to risk the heavenly Tao's condemnation to kill you. This explains the situation, Long Xianqing said. That's true. I'll be careful. Knight Sorrow nodded. This kind of situation will happen to you and your father. If it's someone else, they won't fight so hard. Heavenly Underworld Saint looked at Knight Sorrow, then at the other sovereigns and said, "We're not afraid." From another perspective, it's equivalent to us sovereigns killing their saints, Yun Tianlong said. You're dreaming. I'll talk about it when he sees you. Grand Uncle, who had returned from the spatial tunnel, looked at Yun Tianlong and said. She had already arranged the deployment. City Lord Grand Uncle, this king snatched your territory last time. That was his fault. In the end, didn't this king return it to you? Don't take it to heart, Yun Tianlong said. Cool. That matter is long over. I was just stating the facts. King Yun, you're overthinking. Grand Uncle said with a smile. At night, the people of the 9 regions gathered at the entrance of the tunnel. Yi Wuyo and Night Moon were both there. This meant that the top forces of the 9 regions were all here. We'll fight again tomorrow. After everyone sat down and talked about the current situation, Knight Sorrow made the decision. After everyone dispersed, Knight Sorrow and his parents returned to their tent. Son, the saints of the other side are planning to make a move on you. You have to be careful. Yu Qing said to Knight Sorrow. Mother, don't worry. I'm not a child. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. How are you not a child? No matter how great your achievements are, no matter how many wives and children you have, in my eyes, you'll always be a child. Yu Qing glared at Knight Sorrow and said. Mother is right. Knight Sorrow stood up and bowed to Yu Qing. Why are you so serious? The child is already a commander of the 9 regions. He knows what to do. Yi Wuyo looked at Yu Qing and said. Wuyo, because I've lost before, I know how deep the pain is. I understand how precious everything I have today is. My son, my daughter, and you are all I have. Yu Qing wiped the corners of her eyes and said, "Mother, I understand. From now on, I'll do whatever you say." Night Sorrow said, "You have your own path, but every time you do something, think about your father and me." Yu Qing nodded. After resting for a while, Night Sorrow gathered his people. Then, he looked at Yi Wuyo. "Father, when we fight later, be careful. They can do anything to saints that they can't control." Chapter 853. Night Sorrow looked at the saints who had come with him. He then walked over to Long Xianxing and Heavenly Underworld Saint and bowed. "Don't worry." Long Xianxing nodded. He knew that Yi Shang was bowing for his family. He wanted Long Xianxing and Heavenly Underworld Saints to take care of his family. When Yi Shang fought, he never had any requests. Night Sorrow turned around and looked at the 9 regions' invincible sovereigns and peak sovereigns. "Everyone, take care. Let's drink and chat when we return." After saying that, Night Sorrow walked out of the formation and rushed toward Jun Xuanji and the others' tent. Soon, Yi Wuyo and the others also came out. After Jun Xuanji led his people to surround the large array at the spatial passageway, he began to arrange the array formation. Because it required a lot of work to set up the array formation, including entropy and the others, the Profound Mysteries Realm's main camp was set up at the front, and the array formation was set up from the corners. After Night Sorrow appeared, he threw the torch and poison at the Profound Mysteries Realm's camp. Since it was a war, there were no rules to worry about. Since Jun Xuanji had said that he would not spare even the fowls and dogs of the 9 regions world, there was nothing wrong with the 9 regions world being ruthless. As the 9 regions world's people charged, the Profound Mysteries Realm's camp fell into chaos. They could only hastily fight back. This time, Jun Xuanji had also miscalculated. She felt that the 9-domain world strength below the saint stage was not enough and did not dare to fight the Profound Mysteries realm head-on. However, when the 9-domain world's forces arrived, the difference between the two sides was not that great. Moreover, it was a surprise attack tactic. Night Sorrow was suppressing Yi Wuyo's attacks because Jun Xuanji's 4 extremes attack countered Yi Wuyo. Night Sorrow would not give him a chance to attack Yi Wuyo. On the other hand, Ren Tianji's side was very strong. However, they did not have much of an advantage against Yi Wuyo. At this time, Night Moon's 4 invincible sovereigns' power was displayed. Spatial blades continuously flew toward the Profound Mysteries Realm's camp, and the Profound Mysteries Realm's cultivators were constantly killed. At the same time, the protective barrier was of the spatial attribute, so its speed was extremely fast. CXG New Chapter. Section P. The saints also looked at each other. The saints of the 9 domains world had no intention of attacking, and the saints of the Profound Mysteries world also had no intention of attacking. If they did, they would suffer the wrath of the world's origin, and it would not be effective. The battle was extremely intense. There were injuries on the 9 region side, but none of them were killed. This was because there were high-level supreme experts with a joint attack formation. Regardless of their destructive power, their self-preservation abilities were extremely strong. After fighting for a while, Night Sorrow saw that the Profound Mysteries realm had recovered and was able to stabilize their footing. He let out a long howl and gave the order to retreat. Just as Night Sorrow was about to retreat, he realized that Xue Wuling was surrounded. She could not use her speed. A few invincible sovereigns surrounded her. She could not even protect herself, let alone retreat. Moreover, she was already injured. Night Sorrow directly slashed at Xue Wuling's opponent with a spatial rend. Then, he ignored Jun Xuanji's attack and rushed toward Xue Wuling. He could not let Xue Wuling die. After several battles, Night Sorrow and Xue Wuling hit it off very well. Jun Xuanji's long sword broke through Night Sorrow's protective barrier and left a bloody wound on Night Sorrow's back. Night Sorrow reached Xue Wuling's side. He waved his reincarnation spear and repelled the attacks of two invincible sovereigns. This allowed Night Sorrow's back to be broken through by two invincible sovereigns. They slashed his shoulder and lower back twice. Let's go. Night Sorrow grabbed Xue Wuling and entered the spatial rend. Before entering the spatial rend, Night Sorrow's waist was slashed by Jun Xuanji again. Night Sorrow traveled through the spatial rend to the edge of the 9 regions defensive array. He tore open the spatial rend again and walked out. Even if you don't die, you'll suffer, Jun Xuanji said to Night Sorrow while holding his long sword. That's nothing. We killed many of your people. Night Sorrow let go of Xue Wuling and handed her over to the Grand Uncle for treatment. As long as we can injure you, the 9 regions commander, Jun Xuanji said to Night Sorrow. I was thinking too much. Help me wipe it off. Yi Shan directly took off his outer robe and upper garment. He threw his robe that had been cut into strips at his back to Lu Qin, who was walking over. At this moment, everyone saw that the wound on Night Sorrow's back had already formed a scab. After Lu Qin helped him wipe it, Night Sorrow took out a set of battle robes and put them on. If you have time, prepare more battle robes for me. Every time I change into battle robes, some of their people will die. Jun Xuanji's expression turned ugly. He originally thought that the profound mysteries realm would have profited by injuring Night Sorrow, even if some of their people died. However, it turned out that his thoughts were very naive. You can rest now. But be careful. I'll be back at any moment. Let's go back and prepare a feast. Night Sorrow placed his reincarnation spear into the holster on his back. He then led his people back to the camp at the spatial rend. Commander, Xue Wuling owes you a life. If you need anything, just let me know, Xue Wuling, who had calmed down, said. Senior Xue, what are you saying? We're all fighting for the 9 regions. I've already said that the lives of the 9 regions people are precious in my eyes. I won't abandon anyone, Night Sorrow said as he shook his head. Xue Wuling nodded. She knew that this was Night Sorrow. He was ruthless to his enemies but kind to his own people. He was willing to sacrifice himself to save them. After that, the 9 regions people held a celebratory feast. Night Sorrow, his parents, and Wuling Face sat together. You little bastard, why did you ignore what I told you? Yu Qing looked at Night Sorrow and said. Mother, my body is strong. Normal attacks won't hurt me. I don't want the people of the 9 regions to die. We're all children and parents. I don't want the other children to be like me, unable to see their parents from a young age, unable to live by their parents' side, unable to enjoy their happiness, Night Sorrow said in a low voice. Son, it's mother's fault for scolding you. Hearing Yi Shang's words, Yu Qing turned her head away. Her tears fell. She knew that not being able to live with his parents was a pain in Yi Shang's heart. That was why he was so persistent. Many people fell silent after hearing Night Sorrow's words. They rejoiced that they had a commander like Night Sorrow. No one from the 9 regions world had died yet. If it were someone else, even if they had the upper hand in the war, corpses would be strewn all over the place. Who knew how many families would have been destroyed? Night Sorrow, Auntie Fei toasts you. Wuling Fei stood up and raised her wine bowl to Night Sorrow. She knew that Night Sorrow had truly matured. When he needed to be domineering, he was domineering. When he needed to be benevolent, he was benevolent. After this battle, Night Sorrow's prestige would be unmatched in the 9 regions world. No one would be able to surpass him. Following Wuling Fei's words, the 9 regions world's people all stood up and raised their wine bowls to Night Sorrow. Even the saints were no exception. Next, we'll consider the problem of war. After this sneak attack, I've realized that the difference in power between us isn't that great. But brute force isn't the way to go. Let's see if we can win this war without paying any price, or with the smallest price, said Knight Sorrow after drinking a bowl of wine. In the past, the mode of attack and defense was a battle of attrition. But this time, it seems different. If we continue fighting like this, we might be able to conquer them, said Ciel Anjun. Chapter 854. If they want to seal this place, it means they don't want us to fight our way in. Then we'll just fight our way in. We'll fight until they're convinced, said Knight Sorrow. Then tell me what you think. Long Xianqing nodded at Knight Sorrow. Normally speaking, we should be defending this war. Now that we've defended the spatial channel, we've won the war. However, I don't plan to do that. If we stop now, the profound mysteries realm will have to fight again after many years of stability. At that time, who knows how many people will be affected by the flames of war. So, I plan to settle this once and for all. As for how many people I've killed, I, Knight Sorrow, will bear the consequences, said Knight Sorrow. To the profound mysteries realm, you've sinned deeply. But to the people of the 9 regions world, you've done a great deed, said Ciel Anjun. Everlasting Saint, you're gravely mistaken. Knight Sorrow has done a great deed to the people of the 9 regions world. Even to the profound mysteries realm, he's done a great deed. If we stop now, we'll be doing a great deed. But if we completely resolve the war between the profound mysteries realm and the 9 regions world, wouldn't that be a great deed to the people of the profound mysteries realm as well, said Long Xianqing. That's right. If we settle this with one battle, then the people of the profound mysteries realm won't be harmed by the flames of war in the future. Sky Underworld Saint nodded. Whether it's a great deed or a great deed isn't important. Since we were born in this era, we should shoulder what we have to shoulder. Now, I'll talk about the battle plan. They want to fight at the entrance of the spatial channel, but we won't. We'll fight at their core. Tomorrow, the unrivaled sovereigns will fight with me. The high-level sovereigns and formation grandmasters will guard this place. We can't afford to lose this place, said Knight Sorrow. After that, Yishang left the banquet and returned to his tent to meditate and cultivate. This is the era of Knight Sorrow, the era of the 9 zones world. Anyone who can't live with the 9 zones world is asking for trouble, Underworld Saint said. Long Xianqing didn't say anything. He was a little worried in his heart. He was worried that the profound mysteries realm would resort to unscrupulous means and use the lives of saints to fight against Knight Sorrow. Moreover, they had no way to protect him. The area around the spatial passageway was occupied by the 9 regions world, and they could move about freely. However, the other areas of the profound mysteries realm couldn't. That would be considered an invasion and interference in the war. After resting for a while, Knight Sorrow began to gather his men. Father, I'll have to trouble you to guard this place. Mother cultivates the earth element and is good at defense, so she'll stay here as well. The other invincible paragons will enter the spacetime pagoda. Knight Sorrow extended his left hand, and the spacetime pagoda enlarged. Cool access starter then, more than 10 invincible venerables entered the pagoda of time and space one after another. God-slaying squad, enter. Knight Sorrow shouted to the members of the God-slaying squad. Knight Sorrow, be careful, said Wu Lingfei, looking at Knight Sorrow. Wu Lingfei said as she looked at Yishang. She wasn't worried about a saint attacking because she knew that Xueshi was in Yishang's pagoda of time and space. If a saint attacked and Yishang couldn't handle it, Xueshi would be able to stop him. Xueshi was a special case because she had been in the space-time pagoda when the saint contract had been signed. It could be said that her presence in the space-time pagoda was recognized by the laws of both worlds. Thus, it was fine for her to follow Knight Sorrow. Yishuang bowed to his parents and then walked into the array. He found a place where the spatial shackles were relatively weak and then used spatial ren to travel through the turbulent flow of space. The chaotic flow of space was different from the chaotic flow of space in the realm sea. It wasn't as strong, and Night Sorrow had the law of nothingness protecting him. Adding on the spatial barrier, he didn't expend much energy and was able to travel quickly. Soon, Night Sorrow passed through Jun Xuanji's blockade and traveled another 300 or 400 miles before tearing through space and flying toward the profound mysteries realm. Night Sorrow was a small target, and the Three Sun Mountain Range's weakened defenses couldn't stop him. After entering the Three Sun City, Yishang swaggered down the streets. The teleportation array was heavily guarded, but no one checked Yishang's image as a rich young master. Those who knew Yishang were the upper echelons of the profound mysteries realm. How could the guards of the teleportation array know him? After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow teleported back to Profound Mysteries Imperial City. The Profound Mysteries Imperial City was currently being rebuilt. It was the #1 city in the Profound Mysteries realm, so the Profound Mysteries realm naturally couldn't give it up. Night Sorrow exited the teleportation formation and killed the guards with a wave of his reincarnation spear. Next, he transferred everyone out of the space-time pagoda and removed the teleportation crystals from the teleportation formation. Last time, we destroyed the west side. We didn't destroy the east side. Now, we'll focus on the east side and kill all cultivators above rank 3. If there are any resources, we'll take them. Now, we'll split into 4 groups and return here in 1 hour, Yishan ordered. Next, Night Sorrow led Yun Tianlong, Tai Shu, and a portion of the god-slaying squad to the city lord's mansion for a second round of cleansing. There were no experts in Profound Mysteries Imperial City right now, so how could it withstand the attacks of the 9 regions' elites? Profound Mysteries Imperial City was once again ignited by the flames of war. Some shops and branches of major forces were being wiped out. Night Sorrow, Tai Shu, and the others easily killed the city lord's mansion's men and looted the resources before returning to the teleportation formation. Night Sorrow and the others waited for a while before the other 3 groups returned. Are there any injuries? If there are, enter my space-time pagoda to heal. Night Sorrow asked the leaders of the groups. After learning that there were no injuries and that they didn't consume too much energy, Night Sorrow took out a teleportation crystal from his waist and inserted it into the teleportation formation. Forget it. Teleport to wherever we go and kill. Worried that there would be danger, Night Sorrow sent everyone into the space-time pagoda and started the teleportation. After arriving at the new city, Night Sorrow took over the teleportation formation and removed the teleportation crystals. Then, he ordered everyone to split into several groups and fight. Night Sorrow led people to destroy the city lord's mansion and loot the resources. Tai Shu and Lu Qin directly stored them in the storage. Night Sorrow followed this strategy to destroy 3 cities. After destroying 3 cities, Jun Xuanji and the others received news that when Profound Mysteries Imperial City was destroyed, someone flew to the mysterious Heaven Sword sect and teleported to 3 Sun City to report. Jun Xuanji smashed the tea table in the tent with a palm. Shang Luo sighed. He can tear space and travel through it. All of our seals are useless. Jun Xuanji said, right now, we can't defend. We can only attack to stop the attack. We can only pull the battlefront back to the 9 regions world. Otherwise, we won't be able to fight this war. Then everyone in the tent fell into contemplation. Xian Wenqiu said, now, we can either use all our strength to break the formation or use all our strength to stop them. However, the possibility of stopping them is very low. The final outcome of the discussion was to attack the spatial passageway again. Chapter 855. Yi Wuyo and Yu Qin led their people to guard the formation. When they saw the enemy coming to break the formation, the couple led their people to kill the enemy. Yi Wuyo didn't let them come out of the formation. They hid inside the formation and attacked the Profound Mysteries Realm's formation masters. After arranging the others, Yi Wuyo began to kill the enemy with Yu Qing's help. One of them was skilled in the Earth spatial bind, while the other was skilled in the spatial slaughter technique. Any formation master targeted by Yu Qing would be instantly killed by Yi Wuyo. The other paragons couldn't protect them even if they wanted to. Formation masters didn't have very high cultivation bases. After all, they spent most of their energy on studying formations. Their cultivation base increased slowly. There were many paragons in the Profound Mysteries realm, but they didn't dare to enter the formation to fight. They also couldn't break the formation from outside. This was the power of entropic formation masters. After attacking for more than an hour without any effect, someone came to report that 2 more cities in the Profound Mysteries realm had been captured. Jun Xuanji waved his hand helplessly. Grand Elder, we can't continue like this. We have to think of other methods. Xian Wenqiu nodded. He instantly aged a lot. He knew that they had lost this war. No blockade or defense was effective against Night Sorrow. It could be said that they had lost this war in the hands of Night Sorrow alone. After destroying the 4 cities, Night Sorrow put everyone into the space-time pagoda and then teleported. However, there was no battle. He then teleported to another city and took down a courtyard outside the city. Only then did he let everyone out to rest. Night Sorrow, if this continues, the battle won't last long, the Grand Elder said as he brewed tea. What do you mean? Night Sorrow asked. 4 cities are destroyed in a day. How many cities do they have? It won't be long before they negotiate, Lu Qin said before the Grand Elder could speak. If they want to negotiate, then let them. I haven't killed enough, Yun Tianlong said. They were the ones who started the war. We can't just start a war because they want to. I have to fight until the Profound Mysteries realm is no longer a threat to the 9 regions world, Night Sorrow said. The Grand Elder and the others nodded. Now that Night Sorrow had spoken, they didn't need to discuss it. They would just follow his orders. After resting for a day, Night Sorrow led everyone to continue their slaughter, and they took down another 4 cities. Every time before a city was destroyed, Night Sorrow would first enter the city to scout before attacking. Therefore, Jun Xuanji and the others couldn't stop them. Even if they managed to block them, it would be a tough battle, and they wouldn't be able to do much to the 9 zones forces. Night Sorrow had brought the strongest group of people below the saint level in the 9 zones world, and they were the toughest fist of the 9 zones world. 3 days later, the Profound Mysteries realm couldn't hold on any longer. All the higher-ups gathered to discuss whether or not they should negotiate with the 9 zones world. If this continued, the Profound Mysteries realm would be completely destroyed. All the mid-level cultivators would be slaughtered, and their cities would be destroyed. The Profound Mysteries realm civilization would plummet. Let's negotiate. If we can't keep Night Sorrow in check, we won't be able to win the war. Even if a saint attacks, they won't be able to succeed before the heavenly tribulation descends. His body's cultivation is too powerful, said Xian Wenqiu. The price of negotiating will be very high. They have the advantage, and if we can't satisfy them, the war won't stop, said Jun Xuanji. But there's nothing we can do about that. If we can't enter the spatial channel, the flames of war will continue to linger in the Profound Mysteries realm. We can only lose this war, said Shang Luo. Then I'll go talk to them. Jun Xuanji didn't want to negotiate. After all, this was a devastating blow to his reputation and the Jun family. Jun Xuanji teleported to the entrance of the spatial channel and directly requested to see Night Sorrow. Let's not beat around the bush. You clearly know that Night Sorrow isn't here, said Yi Wuyo as he walked out of the formation. I know. I'm representing the Profound Mysteries realm to negotiate with him. We should at least see him, said Jun Xuanji. Peace talks. You've lost, so you don't have the qualifications to talk about peace talks. Wait until you know your place. Yi Wuyo glanced at Jun Xuanji before directly entering the formation, ignoring him. Right now, the 9 regions world had the absolute advantage, and they had the absolute initiative. Jun Xuanji stood in front of the formation, looking at the spatial channel. He was filled with resentment because the profound mysteries realm had a chance to gain the upper hand. It was just that some people had failed to live up to expectations and had been hindered by the 9 zones world and the 3 origin region. As a result, they had been forced into a passive position. We'll do as you say. Our profound mysteries realm has lost. What conditions do you want before you can stop attacking and retreat? Jun Xuanji shouted into the formation. Then you can wait, replied Yi Wuyo. Yi Wuyo returned to the sage tent and reported to Long Xianxing and the others. We can't let Night Sorrow return for now. If they set up an ambush on his way back, it'll be troublesome. They've lost, so they want us to make demands. We can make our demands first. The profound mysteries realm has to submit to the 9 zones world. We can't be disloyal to the 9 zones world, said Long Xianxing. Then I'll go talk to him, said Yi Wuyo. Our sages can come out to negotiate. That won't count as interfering in the war. Have them wait in front of the formation, said Long Xianxing. Then Yi Wuyo expressed the 9 zones world's intentions. Jun Xuanji nodded and called over the profound mysteries realm sages. The 2 sides faced each other outside the formation and began negotiating. Submit? That's impossible. If you want compensation, our profound mysteries realm can pay it. Even if we have to pay a huge price, we'll accept it, said Xian Wenxiu. Do you understand that you've lost? With the sage contract, the profound mysteries realm isn't a match for anyone below the saint realm. Even if you ignore the sage contract and attack, can you kill Night Sorrow before the laws kill you, said Long Xianxing. You might have won, but you can't go so far as to submit, said Shang Luo. Why did you attack the 9 zones world? Isn't it to conquer the 9 zones world? You might not be able to do it, but we can, said Tian Mingxing. Chapter 4, Part 57. You don't force us to choose death over dishonor. A saint stepped forward and said. Then you can die in glory. We just want to deal with the problem of 2 zones in one go. If you don't submit, then we'll destroy you. Let's go. Long Xianxing glanced at the profound mysteries realm's people before returning to the formation. Xuanji, try and see if you can stop their attacks, said Xian Wenxiu to Jun Xuanji. He didn't have any other ideas. Jun Xuanji nodded and left. Right now, she was hoping to stop Night Sorrow and the others. If Night Sorrow and the others didn't run, then she could fight to the death. But the chances of that happening were slim. Chapter 856. Following that, 3 more days of city-destroying battles passed. That's not right. According to this situation, the profound mysteries realm shouldn't be stubbornly holding on. They should be negotiating, Lu Qin said during another break. We don't care about that. We'll just kill them. If something really happens, the spatial passageway will notify us and will crush our messaging crystals, said the Grand Elder. It's still not painful. They'll naturally submit after the pain, said Yun Tianlong. Night Sorrow nodded. Everyone knew that. If they wanted the profound mysteries realm to submit, they had to beat them until they couldn't bear it. After everyone rested, Night Sorrow continued the city-destroying battles. It wasn't just the cities that were destroyed. Some sects and clans' territories were also attacked. The profound mysteries realm held on for 4 days. More than 10 cities were destroyed, and several sects were destroyed. Jun Xuanji's people didn't even see Night Sorrow's shadow. Accept the conditions. We have to accept any conditions, Xian Wenqiu sighed in the newly renovated city lord's mansion. Grand Elder, if we accept the surrender, our profound mysteries realm will become a subsidiary, said Jun Xuanji. After the sage contract is signed, all of us sages will become decorations. You half-sages and invincible sovereigns won't be able to withstand their attacks, said Xian Wenqiu. Our half-sages and invincible sovereigns haven't lost yet. We haven't lost this war, said Jun Xuanji, somewhat unconvinced. If we haven't lost, they'll destroy the foundation of our profound mysteries realm first. They'll slaughter all the cities and mid-level cultivators and take away all our resources. Does the profound mysteries realm still have a future? What about the low-level cultivators? What about the future? Also, they don't want to fight us head-on. Once they destroy our foundation, they'll naturally deal with you half-sages and invincible sovereigns. Don't hold on. You're weaker than them. You won't be able to withstand it, said Xian Wenqiu. Hearing Xian Wenqiu's words, the other saints and invincible venerables nodded. They all had families and sections. If this continued, the forces behind them would be destroyed and uprooted. Saint Shang, what do you think? Xian Wenqiu looked at Shang Luo. What's done is done. If we fight head-on, our profound mysteries realm will be the ones to suffer. In reality, we were the ones who lost the battle and surrendered. We wanted to fight, so we will naturally bear the consequences of surrendering. I will give the profound mysteries realm an explanation, said Shang Luo. I think so too. Then it's decided. Xuanji, as your senior, I have something to say to you, Xian Wenqiu said as he looked at Jun Xuanji. Grand Elder Xian, please speak. Xuanji will definitely do as you say. Jun Xuanji's eyes darkened. Because defeat and submission were already a foregone conclusion, her insistence was useless. Xian Wenqiu looked at Jun Xuanji and said, I know that you have ideals and ambitions in your heart. The failure of this war is not because of you. The revival of the profound pavilion will need you. The revival of the Jun family will need you, and the profound mysteries realm will need you. So, the hatred in your heart is meaningless. Grand Elder, are you telling me to endure this humiliation to survive? If the profound mysteries realm surrenders, then I can only commit suicide as an apology, said Jun Xuanji. It's easy to die foolishly, but it's hard to stay alive. If we don't have half-saints and invincible sovereigns to help us govern the profound mysteries realm, then there's no need to talk. They can just kill us to the end. Moreover, as a person, you have to accept your fate and admit defeat. If you're not a match for others, then you have to face yourself. A loss is a loss. After surrendering, the future of the profound mysteries realm will still depend on us. Only if we're valuable will they value the profound mysteries realm, said Xian Wenqiu. Saint Xian is right. If we lose, they won't allow us to live. They'll definitely deal with the big threat. Both Saint Xian and I will accept this. The future of the profound mysteries realm will depend on you. It's hard for people to admit defeat, but a loss is a loss, said Shang Luo. We won't let you live, said Jun Xuanji as she stood up. Although she operated on the Tao of Might, she still respected Xian Wenqiu and Shang Luo. You're the commander of the 9 realms. You'll let the other side's peak saints live. That should be the first condition of surrendering. In addition, you'll also need to swear a heavenly Tao oath to the half-saints and invincible sovereigns. If you can break through to the 8th stage in the future, you'll be able to ignore the restrictions of the origin laws of ordinary worlds. Remember, as long as you're alive, you'll have a chance to turn things around, said Xian Wenqiu. Grand Elder Xian, Saint Shang, is this the result of our war? Asked Jun Xuanji somewhat emotionally. If we don't fight, we won't have a place to retreat. When the great calamity comes once every 10,000 years, we saints will still die. This time, we saints were selfish. We only started this war because we wanted a chance at survival. But now, we've brought danger to the profound mysteries realm. We accept this, said Xian Wenxiu. Jun Xuanji sighed. She understood that things had already come to this, and no one could change it. Even Xian Wenxiu and Shang Luo had made up their minds to die. The others could only follow the path of surrendering. Remember, live to fight for a chance for the people of the profound mysteries realm, even if it's just a chance for them to live a better life. Let's go. Shang Luo stood up and walked towards the teleportation formation. As a saint who had cultivated for countless years, his mind was incomparably firm. After making his decision, he was already indifferent to life and death. When they arrived in front of the teleportation formation, Xian Wenxiu and the others once again requested to meet. You've made your decision? Asked Long Xianxing. Yes, we accept our defeat. We agree to your request. Let's stop fighting. Xian Wenxiu nodded. Then you won't ambush us, right? Asked Long Xianxing. We admit defeat. Even if we lose, we won't lose face. We won't do anything without a reason, said Xian Wenxiu. Long Xianxing nodded and had Yuio crush Night Sorrow's messaging crystal. Night Sorrow, who was about to continue massacring the city, was startled. He returned to the space-time treasure pagoda and reported that his messaging crystal had broken. It seems there's a result. They should have started negotiating, said the Grand Elder. I wonder what the result of the negotiation is, said Lu Qin. Q on ZNet on EP Festival. Since they crushed my messaging crystal, there must be news. We have to return. If we're not satisfied with the result, then we'll continue killing. Night Sorrow thought for a moment. He knew that no matter what the situation was, he had to return. After leaving the space-time treasure pagoda, Night Sorrow directly entered the city and began to teleport. After 2 teleportations, Night Sorrow arrived at Three Sun City. After passing through the Three Sun Mountain Ranges blockade, Night Sorrow flew towards the teleportation formation. He was still 200 kilometers away from the spatial passageway. To be safe, Night Sorrow used spatial rend and traveled through the spatial turbulence until he reached the edge of the array outside the spatial passageway. Chapter 857. He's the commander of the 9 regions. As for accepting your defeat, we still need to discuss it. Long Xianxing said. I understand. We'll wait here. Xian Wenxiu nodded. His expression had calmed down. Men, set up a tent for the people of the profound mysteries realm to rest. Long Xianxing ordered the high-level venerables behind him. Night Sorrow followed Long Xianxing and the others to the command tent at the entrance of the spatial tunnel. Night Sorrow transferred everyone out of the pagoda of time and space. Long Xianxing said that the attitude of the profound mysteries realm was not to negotiate. They would accept any request from the 9 regions world. First, we have to be bound by the heavenly Tao. We have to become a subordinate of the 9 regions world. The rest is easier to discuss. Night Sorrow said. Haha, you're right. The saints and venerables have to swear an oath to not harm the 9 regions world. They have to listen to the orders of the 9 regions world. Long Xianxing said. That way, we'll have an extra helping hand in the upcoming massacre, Yishan said after a moment's thought. I feel like I'm raising a tiger. Nan Qianxing said. With the heavenly Tao oath, there's nothing to be afraid of. Whether or not the profound mysteries realm can completely submit will depend on our governance. If we can't govern well and win the hearts of the people, we can only say that we're not capable. Night Sorrow smiled. Then you can just talk as you see fit. Xiao Anjun said. Q is the only one. W is the only one. W is the only one. W is the only one. I'll talk as I see fit. Night Sorrow looked at the group of saints in surprise. Of course. You're the commander of the 9 regions now. Naturally, you can make the decisions. We're just helping you fill in the gaps. The 9 regions need to establish a commander's residence to face the dangers of the netherworld. Long Xianqing said. All right, I'll talk as I see fit. If there's anything wrong, you can all add in. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and nodded. After leaving the formation, Night Sorrow saw a large tent. However, the people of the Profound Mysteries realm were waiting outside. Everyone, please. Night Sorrow entered the tent first and sat down in the middle of the left side. Long Xianqing and the other saints sat beside Night Sorrow. Some of the 9 regions' sovereigns could only stand and listen. Xian Wenxiu and the others entered the large tent and stood in front of Night Sorrow and the others. They did not sit down, because their positions were not equal. Have a seat. Let's talk about it when we're fighting. Let's sit down and talk about it calmly. It's best if we can settle things peacefully. Night Sorrow gestured for them to sit down. Xian Wenxiu cupped his hands towards Night Sorrow and the others and sat down. At this time, he couldn't help but admire Night Sorrow's magnanimity. If it was Jun Xuanji, he definitely wouldn't have such magnanimity. This war was started by our Profound Mysteries realm. It's our fault. We're willing to bear all the consequences, Xian Wenxiu said. Sit down and talk. There's no need to find out who's right and who's wrong. The main thing is to solve the problem. Actually, by blocking the spatial channel, our 9 regions world can actually end the war. However, I feel that it's best to solve the future of the 2 worlds in one go. In other words, I don't want to have another war, Night Sorrow said. I can understand. Xian Wenxiu nodded. I've never done anything that's morally wrong. If we stop the war halfway, then the slaughter I cause will be morally wrong. If we can solve the problem of the 2 worlds in one go, then that's morally right. Naturally, I hope to be morally right. Night Sorrow repeated Long Xuanqing's words. Xian Wenxiu and Shang Luo nodded. First, let's talk about my attitude. First, I can't let the Profound Mysteries realm become a threat to the 9 regions world. Absolutely not. Don't say that I'm selfish. After all, I'm from the 9 regions world, said Night Sorrow. That's fine. As long as the 9 regions world can stop the war, as long as the 9 regions world treats the creatures of the Profound Mysteries realm well, our Profound Mysteries realm saints will settle things on their own. We won't be a threat, said Shang Luo. What's the point of settling things on their own? If you feel that you're in the wrong and that you've let down the creatures of the Profound Mysteries realm, then go and make up for it, said Night Sorrow. You're allowing our Profound Mysteries realm saints to live. Jun Xuanji directly stood up. Why not? I just said that as long as the Profound Mysteries realm doesn't become a threat to the 9 regions world, some things can be resolved. Don't be so petty, Yishang said as he glanced at Jun Xuanji. Please continue, said Xian Wenxiu. Then let's talk about our 9 regions world's request. In truth, this is also my idea. The Profound Mysteries realm saints and sovereigns need to swear an oath to the heavenly Tao that they won't harm the 9 regions world. When the 9 regions world needs them, they'll fight for the 9 regions world. Of course, there won't be a problem of cannon fodder. They'll fight side by side. That's my promise. When the Profound Mysteries realm is in danger, the 9 regions world will also do its best to help, said Night Sorrow. That's not a problem, said Xian Wenxiu. To put it bluntly, I want to form an alliance. However, with the 9 regions world as the main force, we'll also send people to govern the Profound Mysteries realm. Don't worry, we'll also implement a rule of virtue. We can keep the resources from this war to develop the Profound Mysteries realm, said Night Sorrow. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Xian Wenxiu and Shang Luo stood up and cupped their hands toward Night Sorrow. They hadn't expected Night Sorrow's attitude and conditions. They also hadn't expected Night Sorrow to be so magnanimous. I've already said what should be tolerated. However, the key points are the oath to the heavenly Tao and obeying orders. These 2 points can't be reduced in the slightest, said Night Sorrow. If we swear an oath to the heavenly Tao and obey orders, then we can't just be ordered around by someone from the 9 regions world, said Jun Xuanji. Night Sorrow turned to look at Long Xianxing and the others. I've said all that should be said. Seniors, please make the final decision. As for how the 9 regions command will be issued, that's up to you. You said it very well just now. If a person has a heart, he has virtue, and if he has virtue, he has a heart. Only then will the relationship between the profound mysteries realm and the 9 regions world be stable. As for how the profound mysteries realm will issue the 9 regions command, I won't hide it from you. It's a chaotic world right now, and the 9 regions world might be facing a 10,000-year crisis. So, we've established a commander's residence, and the commander is Night Sorrow. For the profound mysteries realm, only the commander's residence's orders are effective, said Long Xianxing. The 10,000-year crisis is the same for our profound mysteries realm. This war is actually for us to find a place to settle down. Xian Wenxiu looked at Long Xianxing in surprise. Long Xianxing was also stunned. So the situation is about the same. I don't know if you understand my explanation. If you do, then we'll set up the commander's residence and stabilize the profound mysteries realm. Understood. Then let's start with the heavenly Tao oath. Xian Wenxiu was very surprised by the current situation, but he naturally could accept it. Chapter 858. Originally, Xian Wenxiu, Shang Luo, and the other saints had thought that the 9 regions world wouldn't let them live because they were all peak cultivators and could be considered a potential threat. But now, the 9 regions world didn't make things too difficult for them. It could be said that the conditions weren't too difficult to accept. Following this, all the saints and sovereigns of the profound mysteries realm swore a heavenly Tao oath to not betray or harm the 9 regions world. Alright, let's arrange things. Night Sorrow, you're in charge, said Long Xianxing. There's no need for me to do that, said Night Sorrow with a smile. Of course there's a need. You can give the orders, said Xia Longjun with a smile. Night Sorrow looked around and thought for a moment before nodding. City Lord Grand Uncle will be in charge of the profound mysteries realm. City Lord Lu Qin and Monarch Yun will work together. Jun Xuanji, you'll assist. The Grand Uncles, Lu Qin and Yun Tianlong cupped their hands. Jun Xuanji also bowed. The issue of resources is that the 9 regions world has used up some resources in this war, but it's not a big problem. After we deal with the Western Nether region, we'll use the remaining resources to stabilize and recover the profound mysteries realm, said Night Sorrow. Understood. Grand Uncles nodded. There's one more thing. Many people in the profound mysteries realm might be hostile to the 9 regions world. In order to avoid unnecessary wars and losses, all venerables who have reached the peak of the 5th stage must be recorded. If they don't obey, kill them on the spot. It's good for both sides to get rid of the small hidden dangers. Yi Shan gave another order. I'll go back and arrange that. Stability is necessary, said Xian Wenxiu. Other than that, there's also the matter of communication between the 2 sides. Currently, the trend is towards cooperation, so there's no need for both sides to reject each other. The forces of the 9 regions world can develop in the profound mysteries realm, and the forces of the profound mysteries realm can also develop branches and sects in the 9 regions world. This way, their strength can recover and grow faster, Night Sorrow concluded after some thought. Everyone nodded. Knight Sorrow's plan was very comprehensive. It could be said that his development strategy was correct. Then let's talk about the 9 regions commander's manner. Actually, it should be the 2 commanders' manners. It's related to maintaining order, said Xiaolongjun. 2 hours later, the commander's manner was completed. And Knight Sorrow. But ye and granduncles. Granduncles, but ye had declined. He wanted to break was. Grand was. Grand elder. N. Elder and grand elder as. Grand. The S set to. T.S. It's meaningless. We can't really fight in the future, Xiaolongjun said. Grand elder Xie, you're talking about me. Grand Sage Xian told me that people have to admit defeat. Since I've lost, I'll accept it. I won't have any hatred, Jun Xuanji said. That's for the best. Let's do that, Long Xianqing said. After telling Yiqin that he had something to do, he informed Yiqin. Then, he led his men back to the city in the sky. Drinking tea, Knight Sorrow let out a sigh of relief. The war is over. We can relax a bit. However, we still have to prepare for war. After the 9-domain world and profound mysteries realm stabilize, we'll take down the supreme river space and solve the problem of the netherworld. Yes. That's a hidden danger. We have to solve it, Xiaolongjun, who followed Knight Sorrow to Sky City, said. In the following days, Knight Sorrow stayed in Sky City and cultivated steadily. However, the others in the 9-domain world and profound mysteries realm were extremely busy. The 9-domain commander's manor was set up in the Grand Clarity domain. The current Qing Tian domain was not as strong as before. The Grand Clarity domain was currently the strongest domain. Of course, the Eastern Xian domain was also very strong, but its location was not convenient. Knight Sorrow did not care about anything, but the other 2 vice-commanders and elders were extremely busy. They constantly gave out orders. No one said that Knight Sorrow had nothing to do. This was because these problems of construction and stability were small matters. When it came to big matters, Knight Sorrow could handle it. Every day, apart from cultivating, Knight Sorrow would go to the god-slaying squad's base to guide them in their cultivation. He would also give pointers to Yin Yanxiao. Tianyu and Yimei's cultivation increased rapidly, showing their extraordinary talent. In the blink of an eye, a month passed. Knight Sorrow's myriad Dao tome was not far from the peak of the 7th tier. The spiritual strength in his spirit sea was also growing more and more condensed. He was also very close to condensing a divine bead. The god-slaying squad now had a few more venerables. Under the pressure of Gao Chang and the other 2 venerables, Ma Zhuang and the others had also smoothly reached the 5th rank. In other words, the god-slaying squad no longer had any members below the 5th rank. On this day, Knight Sorrow was drinking tea with Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, Aoi, and Xueshi when Xiaolongjun and Sky Underworld Sage came. This is your medallion. Xiaolongjun handed Knight Sorrow a medallion made of violet gold crystal. What medallion is this? Knight Sorrow took it and looked at it. The commander's medallion of the commanding and executing realms. It's one of a kind, said Sky Underworld Sage with a smile. He had come to see how Guan Yi and Qin Jin were cultivating, as well as to see how Knight Sorrow was doing. All right, I'll take it. Knight Sorrow put the medallion into his spatial ring. Xiaolongjun then told Knight Sorrow that the commander's mansion had officially begun operations. They had also established the commander's Iron Guard, which was made up of the various regions' elites. Is the profound mysteries realm doing well? Is there any resistance or rebellion? Asked Knight Sorrow as he poured tea for Xiaolongjun and Sky Underworld Sage. Uj cool zf no. Some of the 9 regions' powers are developing in the profound mysteries realm, and they've given many people a chance. They can only be grateful, said Xiaolonjun. We're encouraging the various large powers to enter the profound mysteries realm. Assimilation of spiritual civilization is the most basic method of governance. Let our Night Moon dynasty go as well, said Night Sorrow. We've already arranged for that. We've already set up a few branches, said Yu Qing with a smile. No one told me, Yi Shan said with a smile. If it's a small matter, no one will tell you. It's not like there's anything big right now, said Aoi. I have to say that Jun Xuanji really is a genius. He's very good at governing and managing. If it weren't for the fact that some people from the profound mysteries realm wanted to conquer the western nether region, we wouldn't have been able to fight this war, said Xiaolonjun. Night Sorrow nodded. He understood that Jun Xuanji was undoubtedly talented to be able to lead the profound mysteries realm. After sending off Xiaolonjun and the others, Night Sorrow took out the 1000 derivation killing formation and 1000 derivation illusory formations formation diagrams and began studying them. He planned on going to the Heaven Sealing Palace to take a look when he had time. Chapter 859. The 1000 derivation killing formation and the 1000 derivation illusory formation were the achievements of the Clear Sky Saint King after studying the formations of his predecessors. Together with his own knowledge, they were very powerful and complicated. Yi Shan had already studied them for some time, but he could only understand a little. After resting for a few days, Night Sorrow left Sky City and teleported to the Western Nether region. The Western Nether region had been attacked by the flames of war, but because they had retreated early, there was no battlefield here, so the losses were not serious. They had already recovered with the full support of the 9 regions. Next, Night Sorrow teleported to the spatial channel. There were 2 palaces at the spatial channel, and they were filled with patrol members. When they saw Night Sorrow, they all bowed. Nodding, Night Sorrow passed through the spatial channel. Chapter O, Section R, FD, CF. It was the same for the profound mysteries realm. There were also 2 palaces at the spatial channel, and the guards were led by Tianji Tower's Yao Yang. Greetings, young master, Yao Yang cupped his hands towards Night Sorrow. Senior is too courteous. I'll have to trouble you here, Night Sorrow returned Yao Yang's greeting. Next, Night Sorrow teleported to 3 Sun City, and then to a few other cities to take a look before teleporting to the Profound Level Imperial City. The guards of the Profound Mysteries Imperial City's teleportation formation surprised Night Sorrow. They were Night Moon's people, and the leader was Wind King Yilingfeng. When Night Moon's people saw Night Sorrow, they all bowed. It's a special time, so everyone has to work hard. Nodding, Night Sorrow walked on the streets of Profound Mysteries Imperial City, looking at the reconstruction situation. Yilingfeng followed behind Night Sorrow. At this time, the reconstruction of Profound Mysteries Imperial City had already reached a certain scale. Night Sorrow knew that without any interference, the construction of a city would be very fast. It's really rare to see you here, Commander. Lu Qin and Jun Xuanji, who were patrolling the streets, saw Night Sorrow. I'm just taking a casual stroll. This place is too chaotic, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Night Sorrow, who was wearing a simple white robe, walked on the street. When others saw him, they would think that he was the son of a rich family. No one would associate Night Sorrow with the commander of 2 worlds. Now you know how troublesome it is. If you had been gentler back then, the reconstruction wouldn't have been so troublesome, Jun Xuanji said as he looked at Night Sorrow. What did you say? Be polite to our young master. Yilingfeng, who was standing behind Night Sorrow, stepped forward. It's nothing. Uncle Lingfeng, you don't have to mind this. Night Sorrow extended his hand to stop Yilingfeng. Elder Jun, I respect you. In fact, I respect everyone in the profound mysteries realm. But our young master isn't just the pride of the 9 regions world. He's also Night Moon's faith. We can't tolerate others mocking him, said Yilingfeng. Jun Xuanji looked apologetically at Night Sorrow. After interacting with the people of the 9 regions world, he knew that there were some bottom lines that couldn't be touched. In front of the people of Night Moon, Night Sorrow was his reverse scale. It's nothing. Uncle Lingfeng, you can go ahead. I'll go take a look at the city lord's mansion. Night Sorrow nodded to Yilingfeng. Yilingfeng cupped his hands at Night Sorrow and left to continue guarding the teleportation formation. Then, Jun Xuanji and Lu Qin led Night Sorrow to the city lord's mansion. Inside the city lord's mansion, Xian Wenxiu and grand-uncles were talking about the situation in the profound mysteries realm. Seeing that Night Sorrow had arrived, grand-uncles and Xian Wenxiu cupped their hands at Night Sorrow. Saint Xian is too courteous. Martial uncle grand-uncles, you've worked hard. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and sat down. Why did you want to come take a look? Asked grand-uncles as he brewed tea. I've been cultivating for a while, so I came out to relax. I also wanted to see martial uncle grand-uncles, said Night Sorrow. Don't worry about this. Saint Xian and Saint Shang are very supportive. Elder Jun is also very capable. There won't be any problems with rebuilding the profound mysteries realm, said grand-uncles. I was just casually walking around. I found that the war has greatly damaged the profound mysteries realm. The 9 regions world's major powers want to recruit disciples. They should lower their bottom line and give some people more opportunities, said Night Sorrow. Okay, I'll notify them later. Grand-uncles took out a pen and wrote it down. The war has caused some people to lose their homes. This is my fault. Here are some spirit stones. Martial uncle grand-uncles, take them and see how you can help them. Night Sorrow took out a spatial ring and handed it to grand-uncles. Commander, there won't be any problems with rebuilding the profound mysteries realm. You don't need to provide these resources, said grand-uncles. How about this? Let's build a cultivator palace and take in some children from the 9 regions world and the profound mysteries realm who lack people to take care of them. Night Sorrow placed the spatial ring on the table. That's a good decision. I'll make arrangements for this. Lu Qin nodded. Night Sorrow nodded. Following this, he walked around the various cities with Lu Qin and Jun Xuanji. My heart hurts. I hope there won't be any more wars in the future. I'm going back. Night Sorrow was very emotional. Xuanji, I don't want anyone to hate Night Sorrow, Lu Qin said to Jun Xuanji after watching Night Sorrow leave. Jun Xuanji nodded. He knew what could be done and what could not be done. They could not do anything to harm Night Sorrow. Otherwise, the people of the 9 regions world would not accept it and would retaliate. At that time, who knew who would be the unlucky one? Night Sorrow walked around the profound mysteries realm before returning to the 9 regions world. When he arrived at the Qingtian region, Night Sorrow did not go to the Tianji Tower. Instead, he went directly to Vast Sea City. When he arrived at the border of the Realm Sea, he took Xueshi out of the Pagoda of Time. Following this, they took a flying ship and flew towards the island in the Realm Sea. It seems that the 9 regions world is stable this time. Now that we've started the war with the Netherworld, we've gained some strength, Xueshi said. I have to quickly become a saint. This is very important. I have to refine the Void Fate Pearl as soon as possible. At that time, I'll be able to fuse the Void Fiendish Space with the Void Fate Pearl. I'll be able to bring the Void Fiendish Space to the shattered region of the 9 regions world and completely suppress it. I'll be able to fuse the Void Fiendish Space with the 9 regions world, Night Sorrow said. You can't rush this. However, condensing your soul power into a core is a necessary step to become a saint, Xueshi said. Night Sorrow knew that condensing a god pearl was not too far away. His soul power had already reached the limit of liquid state and could condense a god pearl at any time. After arriving at the island in the realm sea, Night Sorrow found that the spatial storms had weakened a lot. After putting Xueshi into the pagoda of time, Night Sorrow headed towards vast Sky City. The current Night Sorrow's strength was vastly different from when he had been a 4th level venerate. It took him more than an hour to reach Clear Sky City after only resting once. Looking at the dilapidated vast Sky City, Night Sorrow felt a little emotional. He had just experienced a war and the 9 regions world had won. Vast Sky City's dilapidated state told him of the humiliation of defeat. Night Sorrow flew for a while and found that it was different from before. There was a defensive formation between the spatial storms and the 9 regions' origin shield. Looking at it, Night Sorrow found that the formations were the 1000 derivation illusory formation and the 1000 derivation killing formation. Chapter 860. The UD network is free of charge for 4 years. It was brimming with vitality. Yishang felt as if the 9-realm origin source barrier was full of vitality. Night Sorrow passed through the 9 regions essence barrier and headed for the Heaven Sealing Palace. Night Sorrow had just arrived in front of the Heaven Sealing Palace when the 9 regions essence energy appeared. "You're here." Night Sorrow nodded at the 9 regions essence energy. The 9 regions essence energy just went through a war with the Profound Mysteries realm. After the war ended, I came to take a look. I know you've won because I've also gained some benefits. I've also received some blessings from the Heavenly Tao. Now that I see you, I know that you've contributed greatly in this battle. The 9 realms origin energy communicated with Night Sorrow. You can even know that. Night Sorrow was a bit puzzled. Your karmic energy is very deep. You already have 3 feet of karmic light. It should be said that you played a huge role in this war, said the 9 regions essence energy. Night Sorrow was also very puzzled. He didn't feel that way himself. Your soul avatar should be able to reach greater mastery in a bit more time. At that time, you don't need to come over. You can talk to the main body if you need anything, said the 9 regions essence energy. I came to see if this place is safe. The 9 regions essence barrier can't have any problems, said Night Sorrow. There are some problems. There are spatial soul-devouring beasts below Clear Sky City. If they get close, they will devour the 9 regions essence energy. That's one of their trump cards against our 9 regions world, said the 9 regions essence energy to Night Sorrow. Then what do you need me to do? Asked Night Sorrow. Set up a formation. Go to the bottom of Clear Sky City and set up a formation to prevent the spatial soul-devouring beasts from attacking Clear Sky City, said the 9 regions essence energy to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. I'll go as soon as I can. After conversing with the 9 regions essence energy for a while, Night Sorrow left Clear Sky City and flew toward the island in the realm sea. After arriving at the island in the realm sea, Night Sorrow continued flying towards Vast Sea City. After arriving at the Grand Clarity Domain, Night Sorrow went directly to the most majestic palace in the Grand Clarity Domain. That was the most respected place in the 9-domain world, the commander's residence. Upon seeing Night Sorrow's arrival, the guards in front of the hall bowed in greeting. They had all participated in the battle against the Profound Mysteries realm, so they recognized Night Sorrow. When they reached the main hall, Yishang saw Yun Tianlong, who was overseeing this place. Commander, it's rare for you to come. Yun Tianlong greeted him with a smile. In terms of seniority, Yun Tianlong was the elder. However, in terms of strength, there was a big gap between him and Night Sorrow. In terms of status and reputation, the gap was even bigger. There are indeed some matters. Send someone to inform the commander's residents to gather here tomorrow. I have something to say, said Night Sorrow. Yun Tianlong nodded. He knew that something was about to happen. After giving some instructions, Knight Sorrow left the commander's residence and returned to Sky City. After cultivating for a day, Knight Sorrow returned to the commander's residence. Everyone there was gathered. It could be said that the upper echelons of the nine-domain world and the profound mysteries realm were all present. Knight Sorrow walked to the empty main seat and sat down. Today, I've called everyone here because I have a decision. I've decided to conquer the Supreme River Domain. This is related to the stability and future of the nine-domain world. Knight Sorrow then explained the reason. Spatial soul-devouring beast. So that's what it's used for. Do you have a plan? Asked Xiaolongjun. This time, we have no choice but to fight. The plan is for us to enter through the spatial channel in the Eastern Profound Domain. There's spatial suppression there, so don't worry. I'll handle it, said Knight Sorrow. Then you can arrange the deployment, said Long Xianxing. The reconstruction of the Profound Mysteries realm and the Western Nether region can't be stopped. Every time we fight, it's to ensure that our family and compatriots can live stable lives. That's the foundation. Also, gather more people. In 7 days, I want to see a group that can fight in Eastern Profound City. I want elites, said Knight Sorrow. Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, all the members of the commander's residence stood up and cupped their fists. After giving the order, Knight Sorrow left the commander's residence and returned to Sky City. Since he had given the order, there would naturally be people to carry it out. After returning to the lake, Knight Sorrow began to cultivate a spatial crack. After a while, Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing arrived. Father, congratulations. Knight Sorrow cupped his fists at Yi Wuyo. At this time, Yi Wuyo was already a saint. It's nothing. I was already a quasi-sage a while ago. I just made a breakthrough in my true qi cultivation. It wasn't difficult. But you, on the other hand, saints and sovereigns are two completely different realms, said Yi Wuyo. It won't be too long. There's no need to rush, said Knight Sorrow with a smile. All right, I don't have to worry about you here. Is it good to drink? Said Yi Wuyo after looking at Yu Qing. Naturally. Yu Qing nodded. Knight Sorrow and his parents drank and chatted. They talked about the upcoming battle. Son, you're going to rise in the war. After the battle with the Profound Mysteries realm, you already have a meter of light of virtue behind your head, said Yi Wuyo. Knight Sorrow scratched the back of his head. Father, the 9 regions origin energy also said that I have a light of virtue. Why can't I sense it? If you don't have a special feeling, you won't be able to sense it. But it really does exist. According to the ancient records, people with great virtue have their words enforced. If they say that the river flows in reverse, it will flow in reverse, explained Yi Wuyo to Knight Sorrow. Enforced with words. That's amazing. Knight Sorrow was a bit surprised. Of course it's amazing. That's called the great sage of virtue. Even if he's a weak scholar, even if he doesn't have any cultivation, as long as he has virtue and the principles of the heavenly Tao, he can enforce his words. But this kind of virtue is very difficult to obtain. You have to contribute to the world and benefit an entire race, said Yi Wuyo. After drinking a jar of wine with his parents, Knight Sorrow continued cultivating. He was working very hard, and his true energy was slowly rising. The Myriad Tao Tome had also reached the peak of the 7th tier of the spirit refinement realm. Knight Sorrow calculated the time and entered the 70th floor of the pagoda. He wanted to reach the 8th tier of the spirit refinement realm before he entered the supreme river space. 2 days in the pagoda was 1 day in the outside world. Knight Sorrow raised the Myriad Tao Tome's cultivation base to the 8th tier of the spirit refinement realm. Then he used it to strengthen his body. Only then did he reach the 60th floor of the pagoda. Your blood energy is circulating around your body, and your essence energy is soaring. Night Sorrow, I can't describe your body. It should be in a state where no evil can invade you. Xuexi was shocked to see Night Sorrow. Is it that obvious? Asked Night Sorrow. I don't know why, but after returning from the profound mysteries realm, I felt a pressure coming from you. Now that your blood energy has stimulated it, it's even stronger, said Xuexi. Chapter 861. G title equals this chapter is what's the point of this? Honor all the readers. What's the point of this? Okay, I'll listen to your arrangements. Xuexi nodded. Night Sorrow nodded and brought Xuexi out of the spacetime pagoda. After exiting the spacetime pagoda and getting onto the wooden boat, Xuexi went to make tea. Night Sorrow stretched his body. As he moved his body, explosive sounds came from his body. It wasn't just the sound of bones and joints, but also the sound of blood flowing. It was like pearls falling onto a plate. After drinking a cup of tea, Night Sorrow walked around the martial arts practice field. As Night Sorrow clapped his hands, the members of the god-slaying team gathered. However, no one spoke. They didn't dare to speak because Night Sorrow stood there like a mountain. Everyone is doing well. Liyue, how are the resources? Night Sorrow looked at Nan Liyue and asked. There are no problems. Nan Liyue stood up and bowed. This is my friend Xuexi, a 6-star saint. She will guide everyone's cultivation in the future. She is definitely someone you can trust. Also, get ready to fight in 3 days. Night Sorrow left the martial arts practice field after giving his instructions. What's going on? Why do I feel so pressured? Xuefei wiped the sweat off his forehead and said. I don't know. I don't dare to breathe too loudly either. Xue Jian said. This is the aura of a superior. This is the pressure of an expert. If we don't work hard in cultivation, we won't even dare to breathe loudly in front of the captain. Ling Long said. Read novels for free forever. That's right. What kind of people does the captain come into contact with? They are all saints, and there are even peak saints. The saints all carry out the captain's orders. How can they not be powerful? Yun Huang said. Work hard. Your foundations aren't bad. It won't be too difficult for you to achieve success in the future. I will come over every day. If you have any questions about cultivation, you can ask me. Xuexi said. After returning to the mansion, Night Sorrow and his parents drank tea and chatted. This was the most relaxed time for Night Sorrow. After resting for 2 days, Night Sorrow brought the god-slaying team and his parents to the commander's residence in Grand Clarity region. Hu Shao, who was guarding the commander's residence, told Night Sorrow that everyone was to gather at Dongxian City. Night Sorrow nodded and brought everyone to Dongxian City via the teleportation array. Not far away from the transportation formation, Dongshuan Square was packed with troops. The troops were orderly, and the realm of Enigma's men were among them as well. Night Sorrow took out a teleportation crystal and cut a clone of it into the teleportation array. Then, he looked at Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei nodded and handed Night Sorrow a teleportation crystal clone. It was a clone of Dongxian City's teleportation crystal. Auntie Fei, wait for the teleportation formation's teleportation crystal to light up. Night Sorrow nodded to Wu Lingfei and teleported to Danding City. Then, he rushed to the cliff where Taichuan was and set up a teleportation formation there. The underground space of Taichuan Canyon was too small. Even if there were many people, there was no place to set up a teleportation formation. After setting up the teleportation formation, Night Sorrow inserted a clone of Dongxian City's teleportation crystal. A moment later, Long Xianxing and a group of saints arrived. Auntie Fei, arrange for someone to teleport here. I will go down and take a look. Night Sorrow nodded to Wu Lingfei and Long Xianqing and flew down to Taichuan Canyon. In the past, it was very difficult for Night Sorrow to go down. With the improvement of his strength, Night Sorrow only needed a moment to reach the entrance of Taichuan Canyon. At the bottom of the canyon, Night Sorrow saw Hua Yunping meditating. Great Elder Hua is here. Night Sorrow nodded to Hua Yunping. There is a hidden danger here. I will stay here and cultivate while watching. Do you have something to say? Hua Yunping looked at Night Sorrow in shock. He could not see through Night Sorrow's cultivation. Yes, to solve the hidden danger here, we have to completely solve the hidden danger of Taichuan dimension. Night Sorrow nodded to Hua Yunping. Then, Night Sorrow shuttled back and forth in the teleportation formation. He found that he could control the law of nothingness and resist the law of Taichuan dimension suppression. Great Elder Hua, please go up and let the people above come down in batches. Night Sorrow said to Hua Yunping. Hua Yunping nodded and flew up the canyon. A moment later, the saints of the 9 regions arrived at the bottom of the canyon. I will use my law of nothingness to resist the law of Taichuan dimension suppression. Everyone will enter through the teleportation formation formed by my law of nothingness. Night Sorrow's body flashed into the teleportation formation. Standing at the bottom of the teleportation formation, Night Sorrow twisted his hands. The law of nothingness rose and opened a teleportation formation. Then, the people from the 9 regions world and the profound mysteries realm entered the teleportation formation through Night Sorrow's law of nothingness. Night Sorrow rested 3 times before the people from the 9 regions world and the profound mysteries realm all passed through the teleportation formation. Let's rest for a while, Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded and sat down cross-legged to recover. After using his law of nothingness to resist the law of Taichuan dimension suppression for a long time, Night Sorrow's soul power was greatly depleted. An hour later, Night Sorrow had recovered to his peak state. Now, let's take the teleportation formation to the storm region where Clear Sky City is. That place is more important. We will start fighting there and then clear the area where Dongxiang City's spatial turbulence is. Night Sorrow explained his plan. There's a teleportation formation here. Xiao Lanjun looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. I set it up the last time I came in. I thought it would be useful. It can save us the trouble of traveling a few million miles, Night Sorrow said. There's no need to say anything. You're ruthless enough. Let's get to work, Sky Underworld Saint said. Then, Night Sorrow led everyone to the area where the spatial storm was. Night Sorrow saw that the spatial turbulence had weakened a lot. He should be able to pass through it. Next, I will explain the plan. I will be busy here for a while. Everyone will split into a few groups to fight. Xueshi, you know the way. You will bring Long Xianqing, Shang Saint, and a group of people to the spatial turbulence in Dongxiang City. You must kill the 2 high-level nether beasts, Night Sorrow said to Xueshi. Understood. Xueshi nodded. Long Xianqing and Shang Luo also nodded. Saint Xian and Senior Lan will lead a group of people. Sky Underworld Saint, Grandpa, you will lead a group of people to sweep through the various regions. Safety first. I don't want to see anyone from our camp die. Also, gather here in 3 months. We are going to take down the passageway to the netherworld. Now, come here and draw a map of the Supreme River space. Night Sorrow took out a map and called over an array master to draw the map. Soon, the teams were formed and the maps were obtained. The war will not end in a short time. This is also a training battle for us. We must be steady. Also, everyone, make way for the spatial passageway to the netherworld, Night Sorrow gave another order. Then, the teams set off. Each team was led by a peak saint. Night Sorrow made this arrangement because safety was the most important thing. Night Sorrow also left some people behind. True Ocean Saint, Nangon Saint, Jun Xuanji, Ren Tianji, and the members of the God-slaying team stayed behind. Senior True Ocean Saint, take these people and clean up the surroundings. Night Sorrow looked at the center of the spatial turbulence and said to True Ocean Saint. Chapter 862. You're really only in your 20s, Jun Xuanji said to Yishan as he looked at him. After this year, I'll be 22, said Night Sorrow. My 13th brother is still young, said Tianyu. I'm going to cultivate. The rest of you stabilize this place. This is our foundation in Tai River. Auntie Fei, you can handle it, said Night Sorrow to Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow wanted to resolve this problem. Cleaning up Tai River space was just a side benefit. Night Sorrow once more nodded to the God-slaying squad and the 3 women. Then he charged into the spatial storm. As for Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing, they were already in the same group as Yi Linghuan. The spatial storm was still very strong, but Night Sorrow didn't care. He just tempered his cultivation base in the storm. When he needed to recover, he would smash the space-time pagoda into the ground. In any case, the space-time pagoda was underground, so it didn't require a large amount of resources. As he cultivated, Night Sorrow approached the center of the spatial storm. Each time, he would charge a certain distance forward. As Yishang cultivated the myriad Tao treasured tome, the effect of refining his soul with his body made Yishang's soul power more and more condensed. After advancing for 1 day, Yishan had ventured 50 kilometers into the turbulent space streams. The power of the spatial storms grew increasingly strong. However, Yishan felt that this was a better way to hone himself. If he were not in a hurry to head to the central region to check out the situation, Yishan would have chosen to cultivate here. Jun Xuanji was very shocked. She knew just how strong the chaotic space was, but Night Sorrow didn't come out. 2 days later, Night Sorrow saw something special. A huge mountain had appeared. Above the mountain was a crack in the sky. Night Sorrow could sense that his soul avatar was above the mountain. After half a day, Night Sorrow reached the foot of the mountain and began to climb. Climbing the mountain was very tiring and difficult because the mountain was surrounded by chaotic space. Look at Z Chapter T, Z Network C. Fortunately, Night Sorrow had perseverance. After spending a day, Night Sorrow arrived halfway up the mountain. He saw an array formation halfway up the mountain. It was the 1000 Derivation Grand Array. The 1000 Derivation Great Array was the Clear Sky Saint King's ultimate array formation skill. Night Sorrow had the array diagram in his hands, so it was naturally not a problem for him to enter. He passed through the 1000 Derivation Great Array and continued climbing. Because of the existence of the Great Array of 1000 Derivations, the majority of the spatial storm was blocked. The spatial turbulence in the upper half of the mountain was weakened to the point that it was almost non-existent, and the spatial soul-devouring beast no longer existed. Without the obstruction of the spatial storms, Night Sorrow was able to climb up much faster. Moments later, he reached the sky. It was then that Night Sorrow saw the 9-domain essence shield. After passing through the origin, Night Sorrow saw the energy body of the 9 realms origin energy. If I had known that you could survive down here, I would have directly sent you down here. The 9 realms origin energy clone communicated with Night Sorrow. Am I in Clear Sky City? Asked Night Sorrow. Yes. Clear Sky City's foundation is Clear Sky Mountain. Clear Sky Mountain is suppressing the part of the 9 realms that was pierced through, said the 9 realms origin energy. The 9 realms origin energy hoped that Night Sorrow could set up an array formation around Clear Sky Mountain to suppress the spatial storm's impact on Clear Sky Mountain. At the same time, it could block the spatial soul-devouring beast's threat to the 9 realms' origin energy. Alright, I'll go take care of it later. Night Sorrow nodded. He took out the 1000 derivation illusory formation and 1000 derivation killing formation diagrams and started studying them. After studying them for 4 hours, Night Sorrow went to Clear Sky Mountain at the bottom of Clear Sky City to survey the terrain. Clear Sky Mountain occupied a huge area. Night Sorrow used 4 days to survey the terrain clearly. Then he began to set up the array formation. The Clear Sky St. King's array formation was originally very powerful, but because Clear Sky City had appeared, it had become unstable. That was why the 9 realms' origin energy felt threatened. Night Sorrow started to sharpen his cultivation and set up the array formation in the spatial turbulence. Setting up an array formation that enveloped Clear Sky Mountain was a huge project. However, Night Sorrow did not mind. He had a lot of time anyway. The only thing he used was the spirit stones to set up the array formation. In the past, Night Sorrow was a little short of spirit stones. However, after obtaining Juntinya's storage ring, Night Sorrow's resources were no longer a problem. After a month, Night Sorrow's true chi cultivation had reached the middle stage of 9th level saint. His myriad Dao treasured canon cultivation had reached the middle stage of 8th level spirit refinement. Most importantly, his soul power had reached a point where it could not be improved. Night Sorrow planned to level up. This was very important to him. Forming a pearl with his soul power was the foundation of becoming a saint. It was also the key to refining the void fate pearl. After drinking a pot of tea in the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda, Night Sorrow began to cultivate in seclusion. Soul power was difficult to cultivate, but leveling up was similar to true chi cultivation. It was not very difficult. The main problem was accumulation. Night Sorrow used 1 day to form the God Pearl. His spirit sea was bright as if there was a sun shining on it. The Void Fate Pearl revolved around the God Pearl. Just as Night Sorrow was about to stop cultivating, something strange happened. The Void Fate Pearl collided with Night Sorrow's God Pearl and fused into one. At this moment, Night Sorrow felt the existence of the Void Fiend space. The Void Fate Pearl recognized its master and the refinement was complete. Yishang knew that the Emptiness Fate Pearl had been truly refined. It truly belonged to him. Night Sorrow even felt that he could enter the Void Fiend space at any time. He knew that when he went out, he could control and refine the Void Fiend space. He could truly work hard to complete the 9-domain world. Then, Yishang tried to activate the Nihility Fate Pearl. The Nihility Fate Pearl emitted a purple Nihility energy and Nihility Law power to protect Yishang's divine sea and body. Night Sorrow was very excited. This was a milestone for his cultivation path. After stabilizing his emotions, Night Sorrow continued to stabilize his cultivation and set up the array. 2 months later, Night Sorrow finished setting up the 1000 derivation array. With the activation of the array, there were no more spatial storms around Hao Tian Mountain. There was no longer any possibility of threatening the 9-domain origin shield. The spatial soul-devouring beast could not even get close, let alone devour the 9-domain origin chi. With the activation of the array, the 9-domain origin chi energy figure appeared in front of Night Sorrow again. Now, I am not in danger. You guys can handle the war matters. At the same time, Night Sorrow also obtained a strand of origin energy from the 9-domain origin chi. Night Sorrow asked the 9-domain origin chi how to refine a world. The 9-domain origin chi told Night Sorrow that this was a time-consuming process. One had to put the controllable origin pearl into the origin world and activate the origin pearl. This way, the origin pearl and the world would become one and be controlled by the controller. Chapter 863. I'm looking forward to your performance. The 9 regions' origin energy nodded to Night Sorrow and left. Its core was the Heaven Sealing Palace. Yishan also planned to go back because it wasn't far from the scheduled meeting time. It would be in the next few days. Passing through the spatial storms wasn't difficult for Night Sorrow. It took him 2 days to reach the meeting place. Night Sorrow had been cultivating. "You've been gone for such a long time," Wu Lingfei grumbled to Yishan. Her heart was filled with worry. "I've successfully dealt with the hidden danger. Spending some time was worth it. Other than that, my cultivation base has increased a lot," said Night Sorrow. "Your cultivation base has increased quite well. How's your spiritual strength?" asked Wu Lingfei, looking at Night Sorrow's mid-9th rank cultivation base. Other people's spirit seas could probe him, but those who understood Night Sorrow didn't dare to probe his spirit sea. "My spiritual strength has already condensed into a divine bead, but it's still in the stabilizing stage." Night Sorrow wouldn't hide anything from Wu Lingfei. As for Jun Xuanji, he wasn't afraid of her knowing. Even if she knew, so what? "Your spiritual strength has condensed into a divine bead. That's great. Once you control the laws and your spiritual strength condenses into a divine bead, you'll be able to smoothly reach the Saint Realm," said Wu Lingfei excitedly. Chapter 51. There's no rush. "How's everyone doing?" asked Night Sorrow. "We've already cleared out the nether beasts in the surrounding tens of thousands of miles. However, the other 3 teams still haven't returned," said Jun Xuanji. "When they come back, Auntie Fei, crush the message crystal to notify me." "I still have some things to do," Yishan said to Wu Lingfei. "Alright, then go." Wu Lingfei nodded. She knew that unless there was something urgent, Night Sorrow wouldn't leave. Night Sorrow took a transportation formation to the Medicine Valley region. Then he went to the place where he had entered the void fiendish space. Sensing the void space's location, Night Sorrow cast Space Rend. He tore through space and began to travel through the turbulent flow of space. After traveling for some distance, Night Sorrow saw the void space's spatial barrier. Yishang used the spatial rend again to break the barrier of the empty fiendish space. He entered the empty fiendish space and controlled the emptiness fate pearl to leave his body. He controlled the emptiness fate pearl to enter the ground of the empty fiendish space and fuse with it. As the fusion progressed, Night Sorrow felt a sense of familiarity with the void fiend space. After refining the void fiendish space, Yishang returned to the 9-domain world. After walking around, he discovered that he could clearly feel the connection between him and the void fiendish space. He knew that when the void fate pearl and the void fiendish space completely merged, he could control the void fiendish space. Then Night Sorrow returned to the void space and rushed towards the place where he had obtained the void space rend. He felt that there would be spirit stones and crystal stones there. In the past, Night Sorrow would take a long time to get there. At that time, he was only a 3rd-order martial saint. Now, he was a 9th-order martial saint. 2 hours later, Night Sorrow arrived at the place. Night Sorrow put Shao Kong in his sleeves and let Shao Kong investigate. Soon, Shao Kong found a large amount of spirit stones and crystal stones on the lone mountain that had been blown up by the energy. However, Shao Kong advised Night Sorrow not to dig for them for now. Night Sorrow did not lack spirit stones. If he dug for them, the spirit chi in the void space would decrease. After thinking about it for a moment, Yishang felt that Shao Kong's words made sense. He did not lack crystals or spirit stones. As for the void attribute crystals, Yishang did not need them either. His current attributes were already saturated. Furthermore, with his void fate jewel in the future, he would have no problem replenishing his void attribute. After that, Night Sorrow walked around the void space. This was his territory. After walking around the void space, Night Sorrow felt that the connection between him and the void space was getting closer and closer. Even the resistance of flying had decreased a lot. After returning to Nine Domain World, Night Sorrow felt a lot more at ease. No matter what, there would be no problem in repairing Nine Domain World in the future. Even if the Great Massacre calamity came early, the people of Nine Domain World would have a place to hide. This void space was his territory. No one else could enter. After that, Night Sorrow entered Taichuan and teleported to the outer region of the spatial storm. Is it done? Did it go smoothly? Wu Lingfei asked. It went smoothly, very smoothly. Senior Long Xianxing, how was your group? Night Sorrow looked at Long Xianxing, Shang Luo, and the others. The results of the battle are not bad. We managed to kill 2 high-level nether beasts in the spatial turbulence near Dongshang City. They were the 2 nether beasts that attacked our 9 regions world. Afterward, we also managed to kill some of them along the way. Long Xianxing said. The chaotic space ahead is the foundation of Clear Sky City. I've set up a formation there. The chaotic space and the spatial soul-devouring beasts will no longer be able to threaten our 9-domain world and the heaven-sealing palace. Night Sorrow also spoke of his results. That's great. When those 2 groups of people return, you can make the necessary arrangements. Right now, everything seems to be going in a good direction. Long Xianxing said happily. 4 days later, all the groups returned. They had killed quite a few nether beasts. Some of them had even obtained the inheritances of experts who had died during the Divine Seal War. After thinking about it, Night Sorrow looked at Xiaolongjun. Back then, Clear Sky Holy King's ancestor established the Night Moon Sky, Void Dao Holy King established the Void Dao Sky, and Central Prefecture Holy King established the Central Prefecture Palace. Now, the remnants of the Gu family are entrenched in the Central Prefecture Palace. They are the descendants of the Central Prefecture Holy King. Not really. The Central Prefecture Holy King was an ascetic cultivator. He didn't have any descendants. The Central Prefecture Palace is actually a sect. The ancestor of the Gu family was an elder of the Central Prefecture Palace. Perhaps he didn't die in battle back then and left the heavenly abode of the Central Prefecture Palace to the Gu family, said Xiaolongjun. The Central Prefecture Holy King died in battle for the 9-domain world. He was a wise man. If the Gu family is his descendant, it will be difficult for me to deal with them. Since that's the case, let's continue to kill. The Central Prefecture scripture is in my hands. It will be an inherited cultivation technique of the commander's mansion, said Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow had been troubled by a question in his heart. That was the relationship between the Gu family and the Central Prefecture Holy King. If the Gu family was the descendant of the Central Prefecture Holy King, it would be immoral to kill them. Now that he knew that the relationship between the Gu family and the Central Prefecture Holy King wasn't close, he felt more at ease. Even a wise man like the Central Prefecture Holy King died in battle. If the ancestor of the Gu family is still alive, he must be a coward. There's no need to be polite to them, said Long Xianxing. I understand. In addition, I have some good news for everyone. I'm already working on the matter of repairing the 9-domain worlds. If we can finish it ahead of time, it will be much easier to resist the massacre, said Yishan. That's great news, said Heavenly Underworld Saint. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.